And hopefully this time it'll work. So far all green. That's a really good sign. I don't know what was bugging out on my computer. I think it was the programming, but all right, there we go. Oh, sweet. So everyone still stayed in. Wow, that was a surprise. So maybe I'll be able to answer that Batman question after all. Not really super happy about the murdery Batfleck. I am of the opinion that Batman should not be murdering people. I know he's broken over Jason Todd, but even in The Dark Knight Returns, he didn't kill people. Also, my argument being that if he was going around killing people, technically Suicide Squad shouldn't have happened. He would have killed his, rogues gallery already. And I don't know where the chat vanished. What is going on today? Why is this all happening? Okay, well, I lost the other questions after the Batman one, so. But yeah, technically, within their own continuity of what they were doing, if this Batman kills, the Suicide Squad shouldn't have happened. Joker should definitely not be alive, considering the fact, for those of you who don't know, he killed Jason Todd, the second Robin. Batman should have killed all those people when he's going around killing goons. Um, it doesn't make sense with what the story they're telling. It seems like they're taking it movie by movie rather than having a plan. Because when Marvel, I'm saying this as a DC fan first, when Marvel relaunched their universe with Iron Man, they had a long-term game plan. That's why they had Nick Fury in the end. They knew where they were going. Um, and they had a fully fledged plan. They understood where they were going to go, where they were going to take this. They knew that they wanted to end with the Avengers, and the second that all happened, they started putting in all the plans for everything else, which was going to be second Avengers with Age of Ultron. They were going to be doing things like Blarg. Why did I say Blarg? I'm futzing on the name right now because I'm not that bright, but you know what I mean. Infinity War. Wow, that took me a while. um, but yeah, and people are coming back. Yeah, I should probably resend the link out too. I just realized that. Um, that would probably help. But yes, so yeah, this is a thingy where I will answer questions, and this time it will work. My program was bugging out. I don't know why it started asking me for administration credentials while it was streaming, and I didn't see that, and it kept like futzing out and interrupting. So yeah, and for the clickety clacks you're hearing, that's my gaming keyboard. I can't turn the clickety clacking off. Sorry. Hi Don. Yeah, same routine as yesterday, just without the hat because people expressed their displeasure at the hat. I will probably be getting my hair cut this week, so honestly, it's gonna look like what my little avatar looks like on YouTube. The little Vincent Graves from Book 2 with the brown hair that's pushed up. It's gonna be shorter than finger length, and then I'll just grow it back again. So hopefully by Dragon Con it'll be probably finger length and swept back or something. I don't know. It won't be even close to this long, but it'll be long enough. Yes, questions, thingies. I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. I honestly didn't think yesterday's would go as long as it did, but it did, which was really fun and that was great. And I got to answer questions, which made me very happy. About 2 seconds of echo. Everything is being weird today. Everything doesn't like me. Unless my webcam feels like it's also going to try to record. Hi from New York. Hi. I will try to stop the echo. Yay! Echo's gone now. Okay, so it's just YouTube and things. Today technology just hates me. That's what it is. This is how Skynet starts. It starts with passive aggressiveness. Yeah. It just starts giving people crap. And then it starts murdering us. Okay, on Facebook you have a group page. Has that worked out better than an author page? More people see it? Well, yes and no. I think it's better for connecting with people. My posts definitely get seen by more people because it's an actual group. And in groups at this time, Facebook is not all controlling with how your posts are distributed. They don't send it out to a sample size. Everyone in the group can see the post. They're actively there as long as they have notifications on. They'll see it. Granted, my reach in the group is just naturally smaller. I only have 140 people that are fans that have joined the public group. Um, However, my author page has over 1,000. I don't know. So that's one of those things. I don't know what to make of it. Honestly, I like having the group more. I do post to my page still, but I like the interactions in the group. I have more control. I can actually speak to people. Um, no, my volume is off, so I don't know why you guys are hearing an echo. The only thing that's on is actually my microphone, so there is no audio coming back out on my side, so there's nothing replaying. I don't know where that echo is happening from, but all my peripherals are turned off. Unless my webcam is trying to pick this up, but yeah, that's the confusing thing, because if I had something playing like my sound system and I was watching myself, what would happen is you would hear that feedback loop and it would be everybody. So I don't know why some people are hearing an echo. I'll try to figure that out though. But yeah, okay. YouTube can be whack. Twitch is technically a better dedicated streaming service. However, not everyone has a Twitch. I know more people have a YouTube, so I figured this would be a better platform to do all that on. Um, yeah. I'm okay answering YouTube technical questions too. I don't know if anyone wants to talk writing stuff, anyone wants to talk life stuff, TV, geeky, but whatever. Um, I'm open to answering anything or just talking, or like I said, we could even play a game together. It would require me stopping for a few seconds, but I've got all night and I'll still be on webcam and still be able to answer questions. But there's a game called Elegy of a Dead World, which is 2D, and it's a creative writing game. You run around, endless sci-fi worlds, and what you do there is you can narrate pieces. Like there's little stills and scenarios and settings that are all listed out for you, and it kind of asks you for a story, like what do you do, or what is this thing, or give it a background. And other people have written there too, and you can see what they've created. And it's really, really just, I don't know, it's interesting. It definitely puts you on the spot if you do it live, because people are watching you write out of nothing, and it's not a story you're crafting, you're writing in relation to, you know, something that somebody else already put out there. So there's a lot of pressure. I've done it before, and I did not word as well. What is your least favorite stage of writing? Probably before I start. Starting is always the hardest part for me. I'm a pantser, so I normally have to have that starting scene in my head, and I'm very picky about first lines. Yeah, first lines to me really are important. And I might overthink them, so I do labor a long time about that perfect opening line for my books. And I have to do specifically because I've started my career as a thriller writer, and by that I mean like Grave Beginnings. While it's urban fantasy, um, it definitely is a thriller pacing. It's inspired by the old film noir detective novels and stuff, and that movie genre. But I start book one with a coffin. Book two, has a similar action thing in the beginning, and I have lines like that. Um, Dangerous Ways, starts with maybe not the most action line, but it's definitely a very curiosity piquing line that lets you know this character's not exactly normal, and that he's been here long enough to see New York from over 100 years ago to what it is now. And the series I'm about to starts sort of the same way. I'm very big on having that hook open line, and I spend a lot of time on that, and it does bother me too, because I go crazy anal with it. How to start writing a new book? Um, I sort of answered that, but yeah, I'm happy to go into it. For me, it is just having that opening line. And since I pants, once I have that, I can build past that line. It's why I issued that challenge to Nanohana. Just get that one line down every day, especially for the start of your novel. Just get your one line. Um, Obviously, many of you will go over that, but starting off with one line is a very easy commitment, but it builds commitment. And most people, the hardest thing is just starting again that night, starting after a hard day of work to write because you think I have to do 3K or 4 or 5, and that can get daunting. But if you go one line, well, it's exactly that. It's one line. It's not extremely hard. And it'll get you going. For me, like I said, it's having the hook. Once you have that, you have a path, and there's only a certain number of places that next line can go, and then you go again and again and again. I'm borrowing this from an artist that I know, and he starts all his drawings with 4 lines, and I kind of implemented that in my writing. And so for my whole argument is, I need the first line, but once I've got the first 4 lines, I'm good. I can go from there. On a scale from none to nude, what's the level of intimate you're willing to get with the question's answer? I'm pretty open with that. Just ask and we'll see. I'm willing to answer a lot. Oh, if I stop, will it just come back, or do we need a new link? No. The live link is something that will reset itself. But if you follow the channel, whatever new video, if I stop and upload like the live stream to a video game or something, it will refresh. The live link is its own constant area on the channel. It'll archive later to the channel, but the live thing is something that will change and can keep changing. But you don't need a new link. It's constant to this one space, and it has its own rotating weird link. However YouTube does it. Your hooks are amazing, by the way. Oh, thank you. How do you keep writing a book if you are stuck and you have an idea but it's too hard to word the idea on paper? So I'm assuming in that context, because you say how do you keep writing, you've already written the book and you're stuck. And this is something that I admit I struggle with too, but I try to share it with people. Being stuck doesn't mean anything's actually wrong with the novel. It may mean you don't know how to progress the novel, but in all honesty, if you've gotten that far, you do know where to go forward. A lot of people think being plot blocked is a sign of something being wrong. That's not necessarily true. A lot of people think the words aren't coming, and the reality is if you've gotten that far, you can go further. You already know how to write, and being in a good mood does not mean you're going to write any better than if you're in a bad mood. That's just not true. Your skills do not diminish based on your mood. There's skill. It's no different than being, let's say you studied math. Being in a bad mood does not mean you can't solve a certain equation anymore. You have that skill within you. It may be harder to dredge up the best possible way to do it. You may labor over it a little bit longer. That doesn't mean the outcome will be any worse, any different. I think Neil Gaiman said it best, he writes on the good days and the bad days, and if you look at your book 6 months after it's done, you won't be able to tell what days you wrote what scenes, what your mood was, if it was a good mood or bad mood. Some of the best and deepest stuff that I've written in my novels. For those of you who read them, I get really philosophical in them, which is a big point in all my first person novels. Those came on my worst days, and I wrote some of the best scenes. So I started chapter 2, and I'm stuck in my case. Okay. Well, there's something called scene, action, and reaction. So, chapter 2, wherever you happen to be, you know what the scene was supposed to be. If you just ended a certain scene, a certain chain of events or sequences, there has to be a reaction to that or a consequence. So the best way to get unstuck is to ask yourself a question. What should happen? Not what you want to happen, but at the very least, let's say if a reader was reading this, there are certain things that would not make sense to happen. You as an author and a reader can, figure that out. Well, this is way too far left out of field. I can't do this. But logical things that I could do is, and you'd have your certain, you might have 5 different ways you could take the story, but they'd all at least be logical branches of where you are. A simpler way to do this is whatever just happened, ask the question, what happens next? And then boil it down to a yes and, yes but, or no and. So, character needs to go here. Does he do it or she do it? Yes, but this is what happens then to stop that or impede it or change that. Or no, and this happens to make it worse or something else. Um, Pretty much the best way to boil down any of that from writing a novel or a scene, I always go back to questions like I talked about yesterday. It's how I, even though I don't plot and plan, it's how I get my story ideas in my head. I ask a series question that can be boiled down to like a yes or no answer. So again, I'll reiterate it for anyone who missed that yesterday. The video is archived, so you can go through that. But if you don't want to, um, great example that Jim Butcher gives in Lord of the Rings. When Frodo Baggins inherits a mystical ring from his uncle Bilbo that happens to be the Ring of Power, he has to set out on a quest to Mordor to destroy it. Will he and the Fellowship of the 13 succeed? Two-line question, boils on the whole novel, and the answer is yes, they do succeed. Really simple. Now you know the basic plot, you know what has to happen. By the end of the novel, they have to get to Mordor and destroy the ring. Now, how they get there is up to you. You could span that over one book or three. We all know how Tolkien did it. And then if you really want to stretch it out, you can spend 20 pages describing, each waterfall in Rivendell. And then to move each one of those points around, you break it down. The first is the opening of, the birthday when Gandalf returns to visit Bilbo Baggins and he realizes that he's been holding on to the Ring of Power. Does he come up with a plan to stop this? The answer is yes. It's passed on to Frodo and he sets Frodo onto a journey. Next part. Frodo is told to take the ring to the Prancing Pony where he will meet Gandalf. Will he succeed? Yes, but Gandalf is not there. So they have to figure out how to get to Rivendell. Will they get there? Yes, but they run into Aragorn around the way, and they are also attacked by the Ringwraiths. That yes, but, or no, and can literally take you from the beginning of a novel to an end, even to a series. It really is that simple, and I know I make it sound even simpler than it is, but forcing yourself sometimes to go to the simple route is really good because it stops you from overthinking, and that's something we all have issues with as authors. We definitely overthink things. So yeah, and questions have sort of stopped coming in. I don't know if it froze. I hope not. But how do you come up with your amazing, awesome imagery of scenes when you pants? Do you go and look up images to inspire your scenery? Oh, actually, no. So a lot of you know how much I write. I don't write as much as I would like to, but I'm also gauging that differently now because I realize this is a comparison issue I have. So lesson in comparison, I just don't do it or learn to ground yourself better. But I look at a lot of indie authors who are pumping out books, and I constantly forget their books are smaller than mine. Not that it's a competition, but they're putting out 50 to 70K novels, and I'm putting out 170,000 word ones at the same time they put out 3. So it adds up to the same. But in that time, aside from novels, a lot of I'm writing short stories. I'm practicing on other things. I do actually practice in my spare time writing, and what I mean by that is I do practice things like you said, imagery. So you'll see the jumps between some of my books. I also have a challenge. In Grave Beginnings, I use a lot of dialogue tags. A lot of people do when they start out, and a lot of professionals continue to. By Dangerous Ways, I dropped even saying something like said. I've gotten really proficient at the point to where now I can narrate a scene with somebody talking, accentuate it with an action, inner thought, monologue, move it along. I'll say something like, I don't know, I'm trying to think. He reached out for something, and then I'll have the dialogue, and then say he rubbed his chin or something. There won't be he said, or he said sarcastically, or any of that. And that comes into with the imagery thing too. It's challenges I give myself. Like with this book, I will not do these things that I know were weaknesses or something I did in the last book, and I forced myself to do that. And imagery was one of those things. I went from being very literal in Grave Beginnings to describing a house to now using a comparison, and it's really as simple as that. We all read. You all, that's our filter. That's where we pull things in from. So it's sort of the same way. I know if the look I have in my head is a Victorian house, instead of saying and describing the actual house, I will tell you it looks like it was ripped out of a 19th century Victorian novel. That's literally what I'm trying to go for, but that one line describes to you the essence of the house you're looking for, and then your imagination can fill in the rest without me spending 5 lines describing it exactly, and that kills the pacing and momentum. As for inspiring my scenery, um, I know New York fairly well. Obviously, not to the point as a New Yorker, but I have lots of friends and families there. And besides reading it, I've already seen enough of New York. So that level of imagery is very easy. And then obviously in a novel, you can push it to be a little bit more surreal and beautiful with dangerous ways. I blanketed everything in a blizzard and made it really white. That was a particular look I wanted to go for. As for the paranormal side of it, that I kind of make up. We've all seen so much imagery in our life. I don't think we give ourselves enough credit to like the wellspring of info and thoughts and images we have already at our disposal. Um, I'm blowing up all your excuses are right. I need someone to distract them before I feel guilty. 3 books you think everyone should read. Oh, okay. This is gonna be weird, but Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist because it's amazingly well written but simple, which I think is one of the most important things in fiction. Some people are gonna disagree. A lot of people go crazy with the thesaurus and they start bashing you over the head with um, really weird synonyms that they shouldn't be using. Now, there's nothing wrong with that in the right place, but it's like seasoning. There are some authors who literally write a sentence like that, and we make fun of it and we laugh like nobody does that. People do. Some of them are New York Times bestsellers. And at that point, it's like making a meal out of seasoning rather than the actual meal. It's like instead of a taco with ground meat and everything, it's you have just spices and then you put in a few pieces of meat, where it should be the opposite. At the end of the day, your story, the words you use are a vehicle for the story you want to tell. And, there's that, age-old adage, keep it simple, stupid. That's not for the sake of dumbing people down and not challenging them. But at the same time, the smoother your story narrates, there's something called the fictive dream, which is an actual part of the craft. And that's, when people tell you, oh my God, we were reading your novel and we looked up and it was like 8 hours later. That's the fictive dream where people are so enraptured that, nothing causes them to stumble. At the end of the day, it's a craft. Everything you do, from literary technique, your formatting technique, how you present, all of it are all ways to keep the reader enraptured. So when I write in first person, I also have a lot of one-liners, a lot of asides. Instead of making the reader go like that, sometimes it's like that. That's how they're navigating the page, and not for too long. There's a certain pacing with that. That's technically a trick. Now, you don't go into it trying to trick the reader like that, but it's a way to deliver your story. You have a staccato. You have different pacing through paragraphs, shorter, longer, one-liner, an aside, a really long piece, just like music. You have your ups and downs, your crescendos, and that all comes back to what I'm saying with The Alchemist, because it's an extremely deep story with an amazing message that's really motivational and encouraging about following your dreams and how hard they can be, but they will happen. But it's presented in such a simple, beautiful way that anybody can pick up the book and read it. Another book I think everyone should read. Wow. Since you said books, not series, I've got to dig for a second. I mean, I have lots, and I feel bad if I don't say somebody's. At the same time, I don't want to feel bad. You know how hard it is to answer a book question? We've literally posted memes about this in Nano, for the record, like, best favorite science fiction book, or favorite genre fiction, or lit fic. Thank you, Stalling. Okay, Neverwhere. Because it's my personal favorite, so I'll just say that. I can't give you a better reason than that. And the next one will be a graphic novel, which I do encourage people to read. Specifically for graphic novelists are given such a limited space within to tell a story, and a lot of it's so visual that some of the writers are amazing at describing an entire scene in just one line or two lines, and I think it's a very important skill. One of the best I found are the Hellblazer comics, the original Constantine ones, particularly Original Sins. But in terms of story that I really like, I'm going to say the Books of Magic, which was also a Neil Gaiman and DC Comics collusion. But that'd be one those would be the 3 things I recommend. Let's see. I'm entering book 3 now, and I don't know why. Like you said, you can make things happen in book 1 or many. Why is it then so hard for me to articulate my ideas if I already know the ending? I think it's fear. We psych ourselves out. It's a commitment thing. At the same time, having 3 books is definitely this whole you're finishing a series you have to present. I think it's pressure. What 3 book characters would you want to share a meal with? Ooh, Harry Dresden, any one of the Hobbits, because they definitely bring a lot of food. Harry Dresden would definitely be fun to eat with, and he seems like a really chill, down to earth guy. And probably Koth from Patrick Rothfuss's The Kingkiller Chronicles, because he's very well read, well spoken, extremely intelligent, and he's a talented bard. So, I mean, that would be really. I mean, he'd probably present something super awesome. So, I play something really awesome. Okay, trying to do some plans. What time do things start on Dragon Con on Friday? That's a good question. I actually don't know. I've never been. I do know that they have an app somebody mentioned, and the app goes up live 1 month before the convention actually starts. It's a free download for your phone, and it'll have all the information. I'm still playing all this by ear. I'm going to be showing up Thursday. I'm driving down there. Yeah, I'll be driving down there Thursday morning. It's a 10-hour drive, so I plan to get there around 6 p.m., hopefully, and then just dying in the hotel room until next morning and then figuring it all out. Took 2 days to watch Dangerous Ways. Reed, I think you got smoothness down. Aw, thank you. Yeah, Sandman is also awesome, but the reason I didn't pick that is because I don't like it as a standalone. It's something that's to be read together, whereas Neverwhere and the Books of Magic they are full, complete, that's all you need to read. And I'm in love with The Alchemist. It's probably one of my favorite novels of all time. I know it's not technically really big in genre fiction. I still think it falls into magical surrealism, which is definitely a very South American literary style that's become more predominant here. And I just think it's a beautiful novel that really resonates with me and a lot of people, especially people who want to do anything. You just follow your dreams. It's very unvarnished. The main character definitely goes through his troubles. It is not easy having his dreams come true. And I mean, he goes into things like time, like years pass in that novel, where this kid's life is turned upside down, and he's almost forgotten about his dreams. He's stuck in a new part of the world, and he's just trying to figure things out. What's your favorite kind of pizza? Wow. Okay, I like the really eclectic, exotic stuff. Like, so if you have something with mushrooms, caramelized onions, like chèvre, which is a type of French goat cheese, if I remember correctly. Honey, like drizzled honey over it. Stuff like that. Or meat lovers. Just because I love dead animals are tasty, but I know that one's really bad for you versus the one with like mushrooms, caramelized onions, sliced olives, the goat cheese, and stuff like that. That's actually a healthy pizza, believe it or not, and it tastes really great. I can't decide. What are your favorite video games and why? The Batman Arkham games, because of how well they're done. They portray probably the best Batman besides the Kevin Conroy animated series. They're dark, they're gritty, they're extremely visceral. Kevin Conroy narrates that Batman. They go huge into the detective aspects. They show the Batman from the comics. He's not just rich, which is what people overlook. He's a master martial artist. He speaks dozens of languages. He's a polyglot. He knows biology, chemistry, every pretty much science that you can know. He knows how to be a full detective. He can use calculus and how to solve crimes. This Batman does make his own gadgets. I think the Christopher Nolan movies did a bit of a disservice to the character in that everyone who's seen them thinks Lucius Fox is the only person who makes Batman's gadgets, and they don't know that Bruce Wayne's also a genius. Bruce Wayne can make his own equipment. He's made a powered suit like Iron Man. The reason he doesn't use it is because, unlike Iron Man, he's already a martial artist. He thinks the powered suit is a crutch. And in fact, it is for a lot of people because he doesn't want to become reliant on it. Batman, first and foremost, is a ninja. He doesn't want bulky things. His whole thing is stealth. And he uses that fear factor. And the game is brilliant with it. Stealth is a huge aspect. There are parts where you have to take down entire rooms with guys with guns, and if you get seen, you're shot. And Batman's not bulletproof. Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Yeah, I get really passionate about Batman. People know that I'm wearing Batman pajamas right now. Quick funny story. Some of you know I went to a very big writing seminar and conference this year, and you wonderful people all made it happen and helped me get there. And there was a pajama party thing there, and I was dressed in Batman pajamas with my Batman socks that my Nanohana Cheyenne gave me that have little Batman capes on them, a Batman t-shirt, and she gave me a Batman cape. So I was dressed out in every bit of Batman paraphernalia you could have, minus the cowl. Skyrim would be another favorite. Absolutely love it. Dark Souls and the Mass Effect series. Top favorites. Do you edit yourself or do you have someone edit for you? Okay, I do edit myself. Normally, I do recommend doing it the way Stephen King does. Now, this is me specifically. Please understand, there's a ton of different ways to do it. There are nanos who, like I mentioned, have a way faster editing and publishing timetable. It's not something I'm comfortable doing. They put out novels like every 3 to 5 months. I don't know how many edits they go through. For me, I like to let my book sit for a month and come back and look at it with a new fresh take. It definitely helps. You see so many more errors, which is a good thing, because I think editing is the best part of the production phase, because this is where you really improve. So writing your novel is definitely where the bulk of the improvement happens. This is where you have to practice your skills, force yourself to try new things. Editing is where you can see what worked and what didn't, make the changes to improve your technique, but once you've done that, that stays in your brain. So the next novel you go into, this is what I messed up last time when I was editing. I fixed it. I now know what that sentence should look like. So if I try to replicate that and describe a similar scene, I can do it better. So I self-edit after a month, send it to a developmental editor, which I feel is important if you want this to be a very long career. I know people who skip that phase. I won't recommend it, but I understand when you're starting out that funds are tight, and everyone wants copy editing, which is, copy and line editing, making sure there's no grammar errors, no punctuation typos. The developmental editors are the ones who will tell you, cut this paragraph, you're slowing down your pace here, it's irrelevant, this is not helping the story. Developmental editors will go, you said this in chapter 3, you're saying this in chapter 5, this doesn't add up. Change it here or here, make this line up, or cut it, because so far I don't see why it's important. They will point out your plot holes. They work to strengthen the storytelling ability of your manuscript, and that also means at times line by line. Delete this line, it's redundant in this paragraph. You sort of already said this, and it's not reiterating it in a good way to add emphasis. It's just fluff. Filler words, cut these. This paragraph's useless. This action seems so good. This technically weakens it. It's not important. It's not bad. You can keep it. I would cut it. After that, I apply that, and then I send it to beta readers. I do my beta reading in the middle because they might find extra typos, which isn't a big issue because I have a copy editor for that. But at this point, minus the really fine points, which most readers aren't, geniuses on punctuation and stuff, the story has been edited to what it should be as a vehicle to deliver whatever I want it to, the messages, the actual plot, the subplots, and everything. The developmental editor has shaped that up as best as possible. I want to get story reactions, so I send it to readers who aren't necessarily always authors, because it's what Patrick Rothfuss said. What do writers know best? Writing, and that's I don't need a reader to tell me you should have written this line this way. I need a reader to go, this doesn't make sense. Because if it doesn't make sense to them, then I did something wrong. That's part of my editing process, and then line and copy editing. So about 3 to 4 steps. I put out novels much slower than the average indie. I move more along a traditionally published author pace, which I do admit is not the best way to be an indie. There definitely is an emphasis about putting out books faster and building your mailing list, and it gets really crazy technical on the indie side. There are people who've got the marketing down to a T. I'm not one of those. I do like running my career this way, but I run it like a traditional author. I publish slower, I go through more editing, and I do take pride in that. It hurts me on the monetary side, putting out books slower, but the quality speaks for themselves, and I'm seeing now some of the rewards for that, in terms of recognition, award nominations, and stuff. So it's how you want to do it. Technically, I'll be honest, yeah, all you really need is to make sure your novel is really shiny grammatically and, typo wise. The vast majority of the community will be okay with that. Um, I, I am really anal in that, like, every book I do has to be my best. I don't want any shortcuts. It it sucks. Like Graves 3 should have been out before this June, but life and other things means it'll be coming out October. But it'll be a better novel for it, so I can't complain. That's expecting hour-long discussion with the diagrams and figurine battles of DC versus Marvel, which characters will win. The only action figures I actually have are the only figures I have are all Funko Pops, and they're of my own characters. So I have like Vincent Graves, Ortiz, and characters for the Books of Winter, but I don't have even like a Batman figurine. Or yeah, all my I just have Funko Pops of my own characters, which is weird, but it's something that motivates me to keep going. Massive, I can't wait to play Andromeda. Do you prefer male or female Shepherd? I play them both. Okay, I should preface this. I am a diehard video gamer. I was raised by books and video games, not television. Books and video games. So I'm a completionist. I'll do female Shepherd. I'll do Paragon and Renegade through the original series. Male Shepherd, same thing. Multiple love interests. I want to get every bit of the story I can. Andromeda, right now I'm playing it. I've been playing it live. I took yesterday and today off. I don't know if it's the best game to be playing live because it's an RPG and it's so slow at times. But right now I'm just playing male Rider, and I tried to make myself, and he turned out looking nothing like me. So I wasn't going to spend an hour live making him look like me. That was way too long. I will be getting figurines eventually. Like I said, limited space. One of my dreams is to write for DC Comics in some capacity. It's actually something I hope might happen at Dragon Con if I meet the right person. Meeting the right person means I'm just going to grab hold of their leg and not let go until they offer me a job as like an assistant writer learning at DC Comics. Then I'll buy figurines when I get enough money to get my own place. I'd be very okay with that. I'm under no delusions. Beginning comic writers do not make a lot of money, and it's a lot of work. But it's another skill in my repertoire. It'll sharpen me. Gaiman's written comics. Definitely didn't hurt his career. Yeah, I'll be getting figurines quality over quality over quantity. There are some who can do both. I'm not in that position, and I have mixed feelings. There is a trend of pumping out books. I actually know some people who do it, and they do it well. It's not something I like to get into because I see the pitfalls of that. At the same time, they have more product out, and some of them are making amazing amounts of money, which I would love to make. Here's a silly thing. I could do what they're doing, but I can't. Technically wise, it's a very doable process. But with the self-esteem stuff I've talked about and what the art means to me, and this is very hippie stuff. I do see it as a craft and an art first. It is also a business. But a lot of people see it as a business first. I don't think that's the case. I still think it's always an art first, then a business. And if you make the best art, it is only that much easier to sell it. But that means it will take longer. Whereas if you do it as a business first, you can put out more product, and technically you have that product base to build it. The reason that that's hurt me is by doing it as an art first, I've taken time off to improve. Whereas another author would have put another book out. That's definitely a different form of improvement. But between Grave Beginnings and Grave Measures, I took a year off to just write on side projects. I wrote short stories. Through 2014 into early 2015, I wrote novellas that will never see the light of day because they were never finished. They were crap. That was when I learned to commit to finishing projects, even small ones. Yeah, just stuff like that. I didn't start Grave Measures until summer of 2015, which is why it came out early 2016. But I improved a lot. And I say all this with the quality and quantity thing because that was 2 books. But you see the gap that the production time took because I wanted to take a break to get even better rather than just writing the second book. And with that, another project came in my mind that I wanted to indulge. It wouldn't let go, and that was Dangerous Ways. The first expansion of this universe that I'm building, this urban fantasy sort of Marvel-inspired universe with, multi-properties that technically take place in the same urban fantasy world with different characters and different storylines that are self-contained but have Easter eggs. Conventional indie logic, said that I should actually get Graves 3 out. So the third novel, The Grave Report, is what should have come out in December. And book 3 definitely would have boosted my career a lot more than Dangerous Ways, which in fact hasn't been selling, even close to as well as The Grave Report, because even though it's probably my best written novel and it debuted with amazing reviews, even a top 10 best science fiction fantasy nomination placement, it's book 1 of a new series. It doesn't have what I've built up with The Grave Report yet, whereas book 3 would have only added to that. And book 3 is that magic number where a lot of people hold off in a series until they buy. You've seen 3 books, you'll buy through it. Book 5 is the next step. After book 5, you're pretty much golden if you keep putting them out. It's about in book 5 to 6 when most urban fantasy authors take off. Jim Butcher, when he put out Blood Rights and sold the rights to Codex of Valerius when he went off. So getting to that number faster definitely helps. I'm slower in that. I write in order. Even though I'm a pantser and I have ideas way down the storyline, I don't want to write it out of order because here's the thing. As long as I'm writing linearly, if I have that piece, I know at least one block I can get to. So I don't have an excuse to get plot blocked or, stuck. Oh, I don't know what to do here. Maybe even though I don't know exactly what to do here, I know I have to get here. I know there's only a certain amount of, choices that I can do to bridge that gap. So it helps me power through because I know the ending and I have, blocks along the way of what to hit. As long as I don't write those blocks first, I can bridge the gap. Thank you. Yeah, I can't wait for it to come out too. I'm really happy by the alpha reader comments I'm getting. Everyone's saying it's my best book to date, which is surprising. I will say, writing multiple first persons shocked me at first because everyone told me not to do it because there's a lot of similarities that cross over. But I did it specifically as a challenge to improve first person storytelling for myself and try to add something to the craft because I specifically changed my verb tense, my verb usage, the delivery of lines to create a different character, and I wanted to do that to avoid the whole everyone sounds the same. So jumping back to Graves 3 was interesting because my dialogue became a lot simpler. Same with the narration. It became faster, more clipped, more punchy, more of a thriller, and whereas Dangerous Ways is more like a first-person epic fantasy adventure set today. And it was definitely interesting to see that because that worried me a lot because Hawthorne is very well spoken. He's eloquent, far more than what I actually sound like. So people are, I guess, are now surprised that this moron wrote that. And Graves is definitely very impulsive, spazzy, and tucky. Would you read a series rather than a standalone? Why? I read everything. I don't care what it is. Like I said, Neverwhere is probably my favorite fiction novel as a standalone. My favorite series is The Dresden File. If I had to pick a favorite body of work, Dresden Files wins over Neverwhere, even though that's my favorite novel. I read them both all the time. I'll reread them. The great luxury of life and being a reader is you don't have to pick. And I don't. I'll read them both. Would you read a romance fantasy? Yeah. It's absolutely stupid to discount genres. Because the thing about fiction, unlike lit fic, I guess, genre fic, has to make sense. You can have a lit fic where nothing adds up because life's kind of like that. Genre fiction has to have a point. It has to have a certain ending because you're trying to deliver a certain story. That's the whole point of that kind of fiction. You're not emulating life, even in urban fantasy. It is, a surreal, twisted form of life. Everything has to add up. There can't be plot holes. There can't be this just happened because that's how life is. Readers will not accept that. So in that, romance, like romantic fantasy or romantic urban fantasy, that's definitely a facet of life that has to add up. It's absolutely unrealistic for urban fantasy characters to go around and never had those emotions come up. Reading and writing those will only teach you how to do that better. Jim Butcher advocates that. If you lack any of that writing, it's going to show. Romance, more than any other genre, is by far the best on emphasizing feelings. And not just he felt or, the very generic way. I'm talking about in how they're delivered. Facial tics, expressions, inner descriptions, not felt sad, but, felt an invisible hand squeezing his heart. That sounds really painful. You get that. And romance delivers on that better than anything else. Setting it in a fantasy will only help another fantasy author, if they read that, convey those emotions, even if they don't want to write a fantasy romance. So yeah. Do you ever have a moment where subplot just isn't working? You have to go back to the start and that section over? I don't know how to... Oh, I know how to answer that. I don't know if I should. No. I don't know why. It's just the way my brain works. That's always worked out for me. That doesn't mean I don't worry about it. I'm always worrying about it. It hasn't happened. My whole thing is because of the way I pants. When I write a subplot, I can't really ever write myself into a corner, because if I do, what I'll do is I'll never think of it as not being work. I'll think of it as being stuck. But hindsight is a great thing. It's how Dangerous Ways plot happened. I had an ending in the beginning. I didn't have the rest. As I reread bits and pieces back to myself, I saw things I left that if I went, oh, if I put this here, these all add up to this. So instead of me planning it forward, I'm going back and then adding in extra points, peppering in the details to make sense of what's happened before, because you have that power as an author. So when it's finished and delivered, it looks like you planned all that. In reality, there are things, you crafted as you went back and saw that, and you have that ability. That's just the way I work. How often do your characters surprise you in your writing? All the time. Yeah, the parts where the rawest parts of the Grave Report and the Books of Winter, and people get really emotional and deep into philosophy, are the most surprising parts, because those come out of autopilots, things I've endured or read or seen, we've all experienced in life, things I believe, and it's weird to see my characters embody that and have them say it without me consciously planning, this is what they'll say here. It comes out, and then I'm narrating that and reading it back, and it hits me, which I always take as a good sign, because if it's hitting me as the author, and technically I knew at some point something like this would happen, it's going to have that same effect on the reader. My character surprised me all the time. I'm writing another Chance Fortune short story right now. I did not know or believe he had 1,000,001 ways to mess things up. He is constantly surprising me at his ability to make situations worse. What is your guilty pleasure? In terms of what? Guilty pleasure reading or life? Well, I'll wait for you to clarify that one. What's your favorite type of music? Oh, epic music, which I covered yesterday, but the quick summation of it is things like the Star Wars themes, John Williams, Pirates of the Caribbean, music without lyrics, episodic, bombastic, anime themes, Celtic music, Middle Eastern music, anything without lyrics that I can have in the background not to distract me to keep going. What or who inspired Church? Church is an extreme characterization of my best friend, who Looks nothing like Church except for blue eyes, blonde hair, and a pasty white guy. He's like 5'7", like a tiny biker. Looking guy. He's like Mini Thor. He looks like Mini Thor. Long blonde hair, not wavy and curling like Church's, more straight. Has a beard, but his personality is the core of Church. Very soft spoken, very nice, kind person. When he is a smartass, it's more passive aggressive, tongue in cheek, snarky, not very open and brash like Vincent. And I just dialed that to 11. Apparently, after writing him and growing my hair out, people have decided I am the dark version of Church, and I always knew that was going to happen. I didn't. I never planned that. No, I know what a guilty pleasure is. I don't know if you meant like guilty pleasure reading versus something more tangible in life. I don't know. Eating bad food doesn't count. That's not really a guilty pleasure. I don't know. I guess it's not embarrassing, but how much I read anime or watch anime. I am really hardcore into it. It's not just something I watch in passing. I've marathoned entire days away to it. It's something extremely important to me. I don't talk about how much I watch it and how crazy I'm into it, but I really do love it. Absolutely, I guess that would count. I think. So yeah. I hope that's a good start. Is that what you're looking for? Or, rapid fire round. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind. Give yourself a catchphrase. Does that count? That's been pretty much how I've gone through everything. Writing, being thrown into situations, getting the Dragon Award thing, just, okay, that happened. Stay on top of DragonCon's Twitter. Okay, stay on top as in watch it, or stay to the top of it as in like their feed being bumped and being listed up there. I mean, I'd love that too. Share something about yourself that none of us know. Oh, I think most of you guys know how much I'm into martial arts. I haven't practiced in forever, so that doesn't really count. But now I've got to think about stuff I don't know about me, or stuff that I know that I don't think people know. You already know I'm a mythology hound. You guys know most of the TV shows and stuff I watch. I guess the extent of which I want to be a creator. A lot of people know I just want to be a writer. That's not necessarily true. I actually want to create in almost every facet of life I can. I really want to get into woodworking. I want to create with my hands. I want to build things. I want to make physical 3D art. I want to start a game company and write for it. Technically, I'm in the process of that. I'm already building a studio. It's almost done. I already have a game design engine. My friends are coders who studied game design in high school and haven't gotten a job in the industry because it's so competitive. So we just resolved we're going to make our own video games. I'll write, though, do the coding. I've already funded most of it. That's where the rest of my money is gone. I want to create food. I'm a huge foodie, not just from the consumption side, but my first job was actually making ice cream. Not just serving it, actually making it from the sweet cream base and everything. And it's something I strangely became really passionate about. I really love dessert and making food and serving people. Yeah, I just want to really create like every single different way I can, and I kind of want to turn it all into a career. Are you excited or do you dread Ghost in the Shell coming out? I'll watch it. I don't know. Tell us a joke. My writing career. It definitely makes me laugh, so I think that counts. Like I said, I don't know what's happening. Okay, to sum it up, no way I knew how I was going to get to this writing seminar, right? Earlier this year, all my heroes are going to be there. Someone keeps yelling at me, crowdfund the trip. I'm hesitant to do that. I'm afraid of asking for money. I'm afraid of asking for help, which is a big lesson I want to share. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because you're never going to force someone to do it. If someone wants to, they will do it of their own volition, their own kindness, and their own open heart. That's something you've earned in life, and it's a lesson I need to understand better myself. So I'm hoping that someone else will do a better job with it. I felt really guilty about that, but at the end of the day, I never grabbed anyone's hand and made them do it. They wanted to, which is immensely humbling, and it bowled me over. But within 2 days, the entire trip was funded. Super crazy. While I'm there, I learned Dangerous Ways, placed top 10 from Predators and Editors, which a lot of you know is a really big site. Their top 10 best sci-fi fantasy of 2016. Crazy. There with my heroes, and I find that out. Come back, everyone pushes me to apply to Dragon Con as a guest. Yeah, sure, okay. I do it. Now I'm going to Dragon Con. I don't understand any of it. It might as well be a joke. I'm not making that much money. I make less than some people with a part-time job, but at the same time, I'm landing amazing career opportunities and credentials. Things people, including myself, have dreamed about, and it's happening. So does that count as a joke? Because I don't understand it. What are the specs of your computer? Oh, let me take a drink of water because my throat's drying out, and I can definitely answer that. It's gonna be long. Okay. The gaming rig I have right now is it's an i7 4790K Devil's Canyon. The i7's overclocked. It's on a Asus Sabertooth Mark 1, which is the armored, better version of the Asus Sabertooth boards. 32 gigs of Crucial Ballistics Elite, the big black RAM with the heatsink, clocked to 1866. Power supply is a PC Power and Cooling Platinum server grade power supply. The Mark II silencers, 1200 watts. Graphics card is 2 liquid cooled Asus Poseidon 980 Ti's. My entire rig's water cooled with 2 EK 360 degree radiators with push pull Noctuos over all of them, and most people know Noctuos are the best fans. So I've got like 6 fans on top radiator, 6 on the front. It's like 12 right there, and then like 1 or 2 in the bottom and the back. My Wi-Fi card is like the Asus $100 Wi-Fi card. I have no optical drives in there. For my SSDs, the main is running on a Intel 480 gig 750 SSD. I have a Samsung 850 Pro 1TB SSD. I have a Western Digital 1TB Blue, the Caviar, and then I have a 2TB Western Digital Black. Everything I can remember off the top of my head. Monitor is an Acer 30-inch NVIDIA G-Sync. Top is an ultra-wide LG 29-inch. The Acer's 4K. And the studio rig is sort of a copy of that. Oh, it's housed in a 780T white Corsair Stormtrooper case. What's your favorite ice cream flavor? I like Panda Paws better. I don't particularly have a favorite. I like coming up with new ones. Like Double Dunker is really great, and it's weird, but it's an espresso base with Oreo cookies, brownie bits, chunks, fudge, like waffle cone pieces. But it all balances out chocolatey, but the coffee gives it a kick. Yeah, I'm really open to trying a lot of ice creams. How would you feel if a fan stopped you on the street and asked for an autograph? I wouldn't believe it, because how would they recognize me? That's one of the things with authors. It's really hard to get recognized. We're not... it's not a medium where you're visually, recognized. It's your body of work normally. Famous authors like Stephen King and stuff, but Stephen King also walks around in a t-shirt like this, like literally gray t-shirts and jeans. And sneakers. I mean, even he doesn't get stopped that much on the street. I wouldn't believe it. It'd be insane. Blue ink or black ink? Both. I do sign in black ink. I have learned, important author tip, it's actually cooler and better to sign in a different color ink than the font in the book because it stands out more. So I do have a really nice bottle of, I might as well just grab it. Japanese electric blue ink for one of my really nice fountain pens. If I can get the bottle out. So I'm going to start practicing my calligraphy so I can sign better. I mean, I already like my signature, but I'm going to start signing in blue ink. So anyone with black ink, I guess, will have a rare version of a signed book. I don't understand how that works. Something. Ugh. You have the most random collection of things, but it makes sense. Yeah. Um, yes, I am very random. I guess we can say that. Um. Oh. I was really into Muay Thai. I've never done any kind of grappling stuff, but the most recent last one I did was Akibujutsu, which is sort of like a blend, a derivation of Jiu-Jitsu and Aikido. And yeah, I'm really into them. I really want to learn them. I want to learn Savate, which is like French kickboxing. It's very acrobatic. Comic book fans, Dick Grayson, his main martial art is Savate, and Eskrima, which is the one with the two sticks. That's a Filipino art. It's also Filipino knife fighting. Um, it's a lot of straight edge things, but the heavy emphasis is on the rattan Eskrima sticks. I want to learn that. Ninjutsu is something I want to learn, and there's actually an amazing academy that trains that where I happen to live. I just need money. Um, I have two really nice fountain pens. I use a black ink cartridges right now for quick signing. The ink is kind of pricey. I'm gonna start taking that to cons and signing there. I don't think my signature would be any different with fancier ink. I just think it'll look nicer, and I want to start doing that. I plan to go a little bit crazy, and I want to do something special one day when I get more funds, and that's use a certain bottle of ink per convention. So the signature every year is a different color, and people will be able to date by the color of the signature in the book when they had it signed. So like blue for Dragon Con, and then orange for somewhere else, or I don't know. Female Renegade, male Goody Two Shoes. Oh, I didn't actually both with each character. So I do female Renegade, female Paragon, male Paragon, and I play them all the way through the series. I love the original trilogy. If I can get it with DLC on my computer without paying for it, because I already own it on Xbox originally, I don't want to buy it all over again. I definitely stream through it all, but I don't. Mass Effect Andromeda is it's interesting. I'm not in it, as vested in it as I thought I'd be. I'm not bashing the game. It's just it still needs to grow on me. You can print calligraphy papers that teach you how to free. Oh, I might do that. Where do you get your ink? It's Pilots and Namiki um line. It's Japanese ink, but I get it through Amazon. I don't want to go. There is actually a tell you about where I live. In Tyson's Corner Mall, there is actually a designer high-end pen store. I'm not kidding you, and they sell $3,000 pens there, fountain pens. One was designed by one of the most famous Ferrari designers, Pininfarina, who's done crazy beautiful work, and it's actually made out of meteorite. It's I don't know what other alloys it has, but the metal naturally has a rainbow-like veneer. It's opalescent, so if you like roll the pen, you get this different chromatic effect of like a rainbow going through it, and it's the natural metal. That's $3,000. I could go there to get the ink, but I'd feel really bad walking into that store because they just look at me and be like, "Get out." I don't look like I can buy a $3,000 pen. How did you decide what your signature would look like? Um, well, after my first book, which was printed under my normal name, it's nonfiction, I started practicing some signatures, but I used Ronnie Verdi. I didn't really like it. When R.R. Verdi happened, I'm not going to lie. You who follow my page, personal page and stuff, know I'm a big dreamer. As corny as it sounds, I started dreaming doing book signings, and I started practicing my signature. And eventually I came up with, well, I can actually show what my signature looks like for those who haven't seen it. So I need to hide who this book is going to because it's actually a surprise. But this copy of Grave Beginnings, let's see. So that's what my professional signature looks like. It's the two big R's with the extended last legs, and then I scribble my names over, and then I write my last name. It definitely fits. It's professional. People like it. I've been told it's actually really awesome, so yay! Oh, all right. Dan Didio, DC's co-publisher, is actually relatively approachable. I hope so. I'm not gonna lie. If I see any of these people at DragonCon, this is something I'm really passionate about writing for DC Comics. It's not a fame thing. It's not anything more than a dream. I want to improve my craft. I want to learn comic writing. This would be a day job. I would actually never quit if I got it. I'm gonna try to get into this industry. What's your preference, weapons or bare hand? Bare hand. I can't even explain it. There's something very tangible and visceral and kinetic about. I'm a very, as you've already seen, involved person. So I'm very hands-on. I have hands. I like using my hands. I am handsy. Are you reading and stealthily ignoring all the questionable comments? I am reading them, but as you said, a lot of them are comments. They're not questions, so I can't answer them. What is your middle name? Runbeer. Ranbir, spelled run. Pronounced run and beer. One word. Your signature rocks. Yay. Wait for some more questions to come through. And answering some personal messages. I get talked to everywhere. Wow. And I'm also not very smart. That wasn't a deflection. I mean, if they're comments, I don't know what you want me to say. I read them, but a comment is a comment. What's in your bottle? Water. Not a lot of water, but water. Now, I'm out of that. But I have 2 more bottles over there. I have a lot of water bottles from when I used to be into bodybuilding and I was working out a lot. I was drinking gallons of water a day. Obviously, I'm not in that physical condition anymore. Bodybuilding is not very good on your life. The amount I had to eat to be that big. At my largest, I was like 200 pounds of muscle, and it was not fun. I couldn't afford to be on that with the budget I live on. It's a lot of food, and I already eat a lot. What's your favorite color? Electric Blue. Blue. Electric Blue. Wow, I'm 5 years old. Wed Twuck. Electric Blue. Are you aware that you make innuendos? Are you really that innocent? I don't make innuendos. The only time I do that is in the grave report, and that's obviously I'm consciously aware when I'm doing it because it's a joke. What's your necklace? Oh, microphone. It's an amethyst, which is my birthstone. My dad gave me it. Just make them questions. Oh, I spilled water on my shirt. I'm a klutz. Oh, right. I keep forgetting that. I'm not actually looking at a replay of this anymore because it's gonna have like a glaring light all over my face. So I'm trying to get rid of that. But maybe I should because I don't realize I keep going out of frame. Yersh. What's your favorite after working on food? Food? Probably chicken. Uh, it's good. It's lean. It's healthy. I will be honest. When I was bodybuilding, I was very strict with my diet. So I actually wouldn't even eat a meal of chicken breast afterwards because it digests too slow. I would take a protein shake, wait about an hour, and then what I would do is take protein powder and dump it into Greek yogurt, um, which is extremely protein filled already. It's plain, so you just get the flavor of the protein powder stirred in. Um, no fat, and it was an extremely filling, extra protein based meal that would digest quickly enough within that same hour, and then I would eat something. Um, like I said, I was very crazy about that. I mean, I have pictures from when I used to bodybuild, and it was not fun. It was definitely good for me, but with life circumstances right now, it's not something that's viable. I'm definitely gonna start trying to get back into that shape, just not that crazy. Would you ever co-write a novel? I don't know. I don't think so. I can't. I don't plan. I don't think it would ever work out, and I think it'd be absolutely agonizing for all people involved with me. I don't outline, so how would we be on the same page? I don't know the story ever, and if someone did, it would be really hard for me to stick with it. No shirt or no pants, rest of life. No shirt. Um, who's your martial arts hero? Who would you like to meet? If we're talking about still living, maybe Donnie Yen, who is also an actor, but he's the guy who does the Mon movies. Bruce Lee's dead. Um, Michael J. White. He played Gamble in the Dark Knight movie. He's in a lot of movies. He's a fantastic martial artist. He doesn't get enough credit as that. A lot of people don't know that. Now people are wondering about my obscure martial arts knowledge. Tony Jaa, who plays Ong Bak. Another amazing athlete. Jackie Chan. I got them. Oh, Chuck Norris. That too. I always forget about him. I guess a lot of it has to do with I only really know him from memes, all the Chuck Norris jokes, and yeah, I didn't grow up with him. I know what he's from, Texas Walker Ranger or something like that, and I know he's become really popular for a roundhouse kick, and it's like that's awesome. Biggest fanboy moment, meeting Jim Butcher. Not the first time. The first time I met him was amazing. He signed a copy of Ghost Story for me, which is when it first came out. This was before I had published Great Beginnings, before I was an actual published author. Amazing fan moment, but meeting him for the first time in 2016 when he took a copy of Great Beginnings before the series was Dragon Award nominated and everything, and having him take it and then asking me to sign it was awesome. Seeing him this year, now nominated for the same award as him, him knowing my name, my first name, and being cool with me and everything, and super nice, amazing. And I still geek out. I geek out when he talks to me on Facebook. I can't help it. How did you find the Nano group? So I joined Nano January 2014, literally a few weeks after Great Beginnings came out, because I wanted to find people to talk to. Like I talked about yesterday, I don't have a lot of people in my immediate real life, and I wanted a group for writers, not for writing. I didn't necessarily need it to be a writing group. I didn't need, people teaching me lessons there. I was already self motivated to go out and learn that on my own, in my own time in my life, and get the books and network and go to conventions and seminars and learn the craft. I wanted friends. Yeah, I don't know how pathetic that sounds or corny, but I just wanted to meet people who got it and talk shop and the fun things about life, art. Not necessarily always with the craft, just fun stuff. I just wanted to be part of a community, and that seemed like it. And the reason how I specifically found the Nano group was actually I was writing Grave Beginnings with an outline. First time. I actually started my career as an outline, writing as an outliner, not my career, and Grave Beginnings was the first one I never outlined, and it worked out perfectly. And my friend gave me, which is still over there on my wall, a copy of No Plot, No Problem by Chris Batty, who created NaNoWriMo. And so I just searched NaNoWriMo on Facebook, and the group came up. And I joined. Yes, I have made many friends now. All of whom are watching, and it's still surprising. Yeah, I'm still shocked how many people turned out and are asking questions. Socks and sandals or vest with no shirt? Neither. That sounds horrible. Why would I would rather wear none of those and just go out barefoot and no shirt. That makes no. Why? Yeah, the Onbach movies are amazing and like extremely what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. There's just something about them. However, martial arts fans have told me I need to watch The Raid, so I just got both of them in Blu-ray, the first and the second, and I can't wait to be all over those. Favorite ocean, Atlantic or Pacific? I've only ever seen the Atlantic. I think I'd like the Pacific more because it's more tropical. Like, I could, if I was still living in the United States, I could live on Hawaii, one of the smaller islands in the Hawaii chain, or Puerto Rico, which that's technically the Atlantic, I think, but I mean, I like islands. If there's a country outside the U.S. you would like to see, Spain, Costa Rica, Japan, France, Germany, Bhutan, Tibet, Australia, technically continent, Zanzibar, South Africa. I'm trying to think where the Makati is, which is like one of the like largest salt flats in the world, and I know it's in one of these small African countries. I just can't picture where. I want to say Zimbabwe, but I could be wrong. My geography's not the greatest. How far west have you gone in the United States? I'm not counting California because I went there when I was like 3 months, so that obviously doesn't count. Colorado. That's the furthest I've been west. Oh, Facebook messages too. I'm gonna be nice and answer everybody. Okay, would you rather fight Ray Park or Dwayne Johnson? Dwayne Johnson. Ray Park, for those of you who don't know, is the guy who played Darth Maul. He's an actual martial artist. I'd rather fight somebody, don't care how big he is. If people say size matter, it really doesn't. Yes, in a fight, someone who's an amazingly trained martial artist and bigger and stronger will win, but the problem people overlook is to get that big and strong, you have to dedicate that much extra time to getting bigger and stronger. That's time another martial artist might use into their craft, meaning they will technically be better. It's not a scenario that actually really happens all the time. It's really hard to find a martial artist built like The Rock who's better than someone else who's not. If you look at all the top MMA fighters, for example, none of them are built as big as The Rock. They have very lean, functional physiques. You don't have bodybuilder physiques. You have very natural, more concrete, thicker but smaller muscles because there's two different types of muscles, and the tissue you're building is not necessarily the kind that's is, bulky in size. Um, Martial artists are extremely fast. They are, even Tai Chi practitioners, which people don't understand. There's something called kata, which is sort of, you see a lot of karate is really famous for. It's the, when they're going really slow and they're practicing their movements. Tai Chi is technically representative of that. A lot of those Tai Chi techniques under adrenaline and in a fight are extremely lethal. They will definitely, disable somebody, but it looks really slow. But technically, all they're doing is really just slow motion practice. All you need is adrenaline after that, to be in that fight situation and have those practices ingrained in your body. Um, a lot of a fight is not conscious effort. At that point, it's really skill and relying on training. So the big guy who hasn't really been in a lot of fights is just a big guy. I went way into that. Top 3 wonders of the world you would like to see. I've already seen the Taj Mahal. Does Emma Watson count? um, that, not the Grand Canyon. I'm afraid of heights. Uh, it's an irrational fear because logically I know there's nothing to be afraid of. Like, I can stand over the Grand Canyon and look down, but it feels like I have no legs at that point. I don't know why. They'll just go numb. I can still look down and not go take me away from there, but my legs will just go like, nope, we're gonna fall. Even though I know I'm not gonna fall. Eiffel Tower, I don't know. Have you ever watched Evil Dead? I have not. I know a lot about it. I know it's Bruce Campbell's like greatest thing he's ever done, and everybody loves it. But I have never seen it. I mean, I even don't know as much about it as I should. Yeah, like I said, I didn't grow up with a lot of TV and movies. I really didn't. Well, I mean, for the longest time it was also Mila Kunis because she's a hardcore gamer. Um, but then she had to go marry Ashton Kutcher and like shatter all my dreams. So that happened. Um, Chris Evans, Ryan Reynolds. What's the weirdest book you've ever read? We. I want to say my own after they were published. It's a really surreal feeling and not like always good. It's kind of shocking, like, oh my god, I wrote that. And when you're a better writer going back and rereading, it's extremely jarring. But weird first time around. Ooh, I gotta look. Oh, okay. It's an urban fantasy called Resurrection Blues. This is not me panning the book, by the way. It was really jarring to get into because first person present, and that really jars me. It's not like I turn to the corner. It's I turn and there's someone there, and it's something I think that works better for choose your own adventure novels and like first person horror. You turn around and there's a monster in your face rather than I turned around. Um, I don't know. It was really hard for me to get into because of that. Uh, I'm fine with you guys all talking about your crushes. That's fine too. I can just sit here and read that. That's no problem to me. Wow. Okay, there's a lot starting to come in now. Oh my god, and y'all are blowing up my Facebook too. Why? Favorite fantasy character. Okay. If we're not gonna do urban fantasy, specifically fantasy, that's hard. but it would probably be Paranibara from the Wheel of Time. And I'm assuming you also want a why, even though it wasn't said. I kind of like Perrin's attitude. I like that he wasn't this big chosen one, and I like that he kept a level head through most of the series. I actually have never finished the Wheel of Time, life and other things, so I don't know where it's going. But so far, where I've been through, I like the person he's continued to be. I like how his life ended up to the point I'm at, which is I think like in book 6, right after he saves two rivers, he gets Fail, who I think is awesome. I know I need somebody like that one day. I need someone really sassy and feisty. Otherwise, I'll never get anything done. I need someone to yell at me. And I don't know. I just really like Perrin. I think he's solid. Down to earth. He never really runs crazy with the power he's been given and stuff. I just think he's a really good person. I like how he's not, like the whole Luke Skywalker and that kind of archetype of a story. He is very down to earth and grounded and wanting to do the right things for, yeah. What was the weirdest dream you ever had? I think it was something like what's going to happen with Dragon Con. And this is not making me feel comfortable about it now, but it was definitely a dream about me being on a panel. It was a career thing down the line, but I walked into the wrong panel and sat down, and nobody had the heart to tell me. And I'm just sitting there until they call the panel and realize I'm in the wrong place, and I have to like awkwardly get up and leave or sit there and commit myself. And I sat there and committed myself to the panel, and it was extremely embarrassing. And I woke up from that too. It was just like, wow, that's really awkward. And I felt the awkwardness in the dream. It was definitely a deep sleep dream. It was extremely horrible too. Like the level of embarrassment I felt even upon waking up. It's something obviously that never happened, but it could. I could get lost and just walk into a panel and sit down while it's filling up, and people will be like, "Who is this kid? Why is he here?" And that is still scaring me now going over that. Like, what if that happens this year at Dragon Con and I sit down somewhere I'm not supposed to be? Like, that would be a great way to start off my professional, con appearances. I don't know. That was definitely scary. Um, you are my celeb crush. Me? Or someone I listed? Final Fantasy character crush. Oh, I've only fully played and completed one, and that was Final Fantasy 8. So I'll say Sophie. Fairy tales or folklore? I'll say folklore because it tends to get more obscure and creative, whereas fairy tales, especially today, have become synonymous with essentially the whole repertoire of grim fairy tales. In fact, I think technically that is what sums up. It's very Celtic, Scottish, and Irish lore with German, as indicative of the name. And as much as I love it, and Dangerous Ways is definitely dedicated to showing a lot of that, because I do want to tackle that and put my own spins on it. I like the more obscure stuff, which is why I had the Grave Report. It's what prompted it. That was definitely supposed to be a Monsters of the Week mythology. I'm gonna drudge up, things maybe you haven't seen before, and some you have, and I want to put my own spin on them. For those of you who've read Grave Measures, and are familiar with something called creepypasta, you'll see analogs from the monster in Grave Measures and there. I took essentially what's become an urban legend pop culture monster and gave it deeper roots than it actually had, and explained and rationalized without being overt in the novel that this pop culture folklore creature actually has its basis in an already existing variant of creature. So I tied it two different ways from both ends, if that makes sense. I took something and gave it a pass and created a new creature, but I made that creature a variation of an existing creature that could have inspired the current legend. And that was really fun challenge to do, and it's why I like folklore. Who's your favorite character that you've written? Vincent Graves. He started everything for my career. Do you use an outline to map out your ideas, or just like me, I sit and start writing? Ortiz or Winters? Oh, that's hard. It depends how deep we're getting. As a character I like, or are we talking like I could see myself hanging out with and stuff? Because Ortiz is awesome. She's feisty, fiery, crazy awesome Latina that I would be all over. Cassidy is really uppity. I definitely love them both, but she's kind of like a younger female Vincent. They're both really fun to write, but I like Ortiz. I don't know. I mean, my Funko Pops can hear me over there, and I have both an Ortiz and a Cassidy Winters Funko Pop, so I don't want them like glaring at me while I sleep. Weirdest dream my mother ever had was sleeping on a bed made of Verdi books. I don't think I have that many to make a bed, unfortunately. Do you need someone to escort you through Dragon Con? That would be nice. I will definitely be taking up anyone to lead me around Dragon Con. I'm already going to be having one chaperone of a Nano, but I'll definitely down to meet more. She met you. Oh, thank you. Suggestion for beginning writers: stick to one genre or do a variety? Oh, this is going to be a long answer, so. It depends if you want to be a series writer starting out or standalone. Standalones obviously have the benefit you can hop around genres and the works can stand alone. Going traditional, that might work better. You'll definitely be able to harness your skills, bounce on genres, and have something stick. With a series, you have a chance to build a long property base, rally fans around something that has a promise of continuing to go. And then when you do that in a series, if you jump to another genre, you either have to start all over and build that series base up again, or do a standalone, but then that means that takes away time from the series you're working in. So far, I've been sticking pretty heavily to urban fantasy, trying to build my name in there. I've still taken some risks and, not written in my series, which is not answering the genre question, but it's analogous to those lines. If we're talking overall down the career line, I think it does help writing in different genres, though. This is coming from Kevin J. Anderson's method, who has written across every genre, and he's an international bestseller, and he's a guest of honor at almost every convention, and the man has an amazingly solid career that he's earned, and he's written everything. And it's he calls it the popcorn theory of success, and it's, when you make a bag of popcorn, you don't have one kernel in there, you have, hundreds, and that's how you get a bag. They all pop, but not all of them do. You'll always have some of those that don't. So if you try to make popcorn like on a skillet and you only throw a couple kernels in, only one might pop. You don't know. None might pop. The more work you get out there across a broader genre and fill up that pan, as it were, with kernels, if you make it the old school way, the more pops you're going to get, more things will stick. Because you don't know. It's not always necessarily reflective of your work. And that's the truth. Luck is a huge part too. People don't want to hear that. Now, you could be the most unlucky person in the world and continue to work hard at your craft and put out books, and you're going to make it. I don't know when, but you will. You will see those dominoes fall in progress. If it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. And I'm still not at the point where I'm making a living. I'm just doing better and better, but I can see that. And a lot of it has to do with trends. Some people were writing urban fantasy before it blew up. When it blew up, they only grew more popular. Some people came into it right when it was blowing up. More eyes on them. I started writing in it when the glut started happening, and that means everyone rushed to urban fantasy. Right now, it is probably one of the most popular indie genres aside from paranormal romance. Everybody is pumping out urban fantasy books. Some of it has to do with the culture that has arisen where they write to the popular market. Whatever the most popular genre is, you write in that. You fill it with your works, and when the genre is done, you get pretty quick on wrapping up your series and you move to the next one. That's lended to a lot of I guess, like over reader saturation, where some people are getting tired because a lot of works are being put out and not all of them are great, but they're selling. Trying different genres might land you in the right place at the right time. It will not hurt. I'm a proponent of it. While I may be sticking to urban fantasy, that's specifically because a lot of people know my dream and my plan. I am very actively trying to build, this Marvel universe of urban fantasy for me. That has nothing to do with the market. That has nothing to do with a career move. That is very personal to me. I want to have, my own Marvel universe of urban fantasy. Multiple characters, multiple properties, different storylines, different times. That's my goal. But I will be in April starting a sci-fi for a small, a UK micro publisher, which is like a startup. So yeah. When will we be able to buy those Funko Pops? As soon as Funko Pop gives me an official deal. I'm still not big enough that they will. I knocked something over. How'd you go about getting your first book published? I indie published it. I downloaded the Smashword style guide, which I still use, to format my ebooks for everywhere, and I just e-published it. I didn't even have a paperback until 2015, and Grave Beginnings came out Christmas of 2013. That's almost 2 years. And my goal, the reason I indie pubbed originally, being completely honest here, is I was trying to cut my teeth and earn my way in the industry and craft, because I've seen stories, a lot of indies getting picked up who have successful properties from ebook to trade print and getting those rights renegotiated. It does happen. In fact, Larry Correia did that in print. He was bought out by Baen Books, and now is a New York Times best-selling trade published author with a series he started indie. So I avoided the paperbacks because until Nano members and stuff and people who become friends with Nano started yelling at me to get the paperbacks out, and I eventually did, and then they yelled at me to get the hardcovers out, and I eventually did. So yeah. Dogs. I prefer dogs. Another reason is they definitely keep me active. That's really important because sometimes I don't want to go for a walk, but I can't say no to a puppy or a doggo. Are you aware that you're adorable? People keep saying it. Self-esteem issues, as I've said. Doesn't matter how many times someone will say it. And this goes, I can turn this into something about writing, which will make it easier to talk about. But you're always your harshest critic, especially today in a culture where we have this hyper-polarized society, and we have things like Twitter where someone in a second can send you something really heartwarming, or they can troll you and hurt your feelings. A lot of people are harsh on themselves. I'm one of them. I don't want to be. I'm learning not to be. But I can't convince myself of these nice things people say. Believe me, I would love to see myself that way. It would be very good. I'd probably get more work done and be more confident. Can you sell a few Funko Pops in Awesome Con? Well, all of mine are custom. I don't know if I can actually sell them unofficially, because technically they use Funko Pop's design, meaning it's like copyright infringement, unless they became official Funko Pop ones. And I've talked to Funko Pop. This might still happen. I might have them official, but I need to meet with somebody. And I live actually 20 minutes from where Think Geek is. They started in my county. But Think Geek is a retailer. They're partnered with Funko Pop. They don't get to make that decision. You have hardbacks. Wow. I will definitely sign those. Also, Simi is the name of my little sister, so I just want to point that out. Oh, yes, I'm doing a giveaway. Someone told me to remind that. But at the end of the Slumber party, I'm probably going to be calling out someone from Nanohana and in the Slumber party, and I'm going to be giving away ebooks of Grave Beginnings. I still don't know how I'm going to do it yet. It's not. I just know I'm going to be giving away stuff, trying to do something nice for the group. How'd you go about mass producing them? Again, I don't know if I could. I have access to a 3D printer and lasers and stuff. I could make it happen, but it's the legality of it. I don't own the rights to that kind of design, just the characters. It would be better if Funko Pop did it, but there's not really much demand. I can't yell at them. It's just one person. You know, yeah, if people were asking, like, you know, oh, it's like anything. It's just demand. If there's enough people clamoring about it, someone's going to rush to fill that, and Funko Pop would. Has your money tree done anything yet? It looks nice. Oh, so apparently, um, so if you go to the party event, the summer party, there's a drawing for this. So I guess someone else might be handling this for me, which is awesome. So if that's the case, I'll be even nicer and I'll give away 3 copies of Grave Beginnings, so we can have three winners. Um, and I can give away 1 ebook copy of Dangerous Ways. Um, so that way you have a book 1 of each for somebody who doesn't have it. So yeah, Sarah is saying just go to the party event and put their name in for the drawing. So if you want to win ebooks, go there. And I'll definitely be honoring that and giving them away. I have that power. It is a very small token of power, but I have it. And I will use it. We can yell at them for you. You absolutely can. I don't know how they'll respond. I'll be completely honest. They're a very nice company. I don't know what they'll say. They might just give you the generic thank you for blah 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 bibble snark. And that's it. I don't think they'll be rude because it's still an extremely successful company. They want to be nice to customers. They'll probably definitely, you know, give you an honest response and explain why they can't or why they, you know, would. I don't know why. Yeah, I'll give away an ebook copy of Dangerous Ways too. Right now I can only do ebooks, just because it's instant, and I'd rather have people reading that easier and quicker. I give away official copies, so yeah. The giveaway thing? Oh, the ebook giveaway is in the Slumber Party event, as I'm being told. I didn't plan this out really well, so it is on me. I just contacted Sarah and Abby, letting them know for doing this, which I think is a really great event. And it's brought a lot of Nanohanas closer together within these tight personal comments, not just here, but throughout the entire threads, that I do something nice and just give away some ebooks. So it's however they want to do it. I'm totally fine with just giving it to them. Yeah, I'm sorry. The only thing I can think of, if Amazon's futzing around with your orders, you can absolutely cancel them and get them from Barnes & Noble. I know Barnes & Noble still carries the hardbacks, and they're not being butt munches about it. And the price is the same. In fact, at times, Barnes & Noble has dropped the price even lower, which does not hurt me at all, by the way. When they do a price match where they drop the prices cheaper, that's on them. They're doing a sale. They're taking the loss, not me. Order the hardcovers from wherever you feel like if you really want them. I'm just happy you like them and you want them. How did Funko Pop make the characters to begin with? Oh, mine? Mine are done on essentially a 3D blank, meaning it's the generic figure and all the details are put in, so their faces and everything. And I can show them for people. I have them. Okay. That's a lot of Funkos. But, Vincent Graveston, book 1 complete in the suit with, you know, his barred body. If you look really closely there, I don't know how I can zoom into it, but, this is really weird. Okay, there we go. You can see he has a little black 13, tattoo. Camilla Ortiz and her entire FBI, you know, black suit. Church. Vincent Graves in book 2, and you can see he has something very special in his hand, which I can't ruin. That's him and, you know, his little gray pretty much the gray scrubs they give you in the environment that he was in. This character, the ears and the hair and the white dress with the white tipped hair at the very end is a giveaway, but I know people haven't read Grave Measures, so I'm not gonna spoil that. Jonathan Hawthorne, complete with long trench coat. Cassidy Winters with the, actually you can see shiny fire opal eyes, red hair that looks like it came out of a bottle, blue pants, and periwinkle sneakers because she likes them kicks. Favorite gaming console? PC now. Unless you actually mean console, in which case Xbox, because it's just what I happen to grow up with. Like the first one I got that I paid for, and I grew up on Halo. I really did. It was really important to me. A signed copy of my face. Why would you want that? It would be horrible and shock you forever. Oh, and this is pretty good. My editor just commented she finished her alpha read through the third novel in the Grave Report, and she really liked it, so I'm really happy. That makes me feel better. Her not going, you know, fix this right now, there are plot holes everywhere, you need to die. That's, yeah, that makes me feel really, really better. I did a good job on a book. Travel by plane, boat, or car? Car. I'm very huge into driving. I absolutely love it. I would love to drive all across America, but I noticed train wasn't up there. I would definitely take train too. Or train, yay! When will you tell us the title of Graves 3? Once the cover is done, I'll do an official reveal. And my cover artist has an alpha copy also of Graves 3. She's reading through it right now. If I can get the cover done even before edits, I don't care. I can leak the cover whenever. I just want to at least have the cover when I drop the title. I like doing it that way. When are you going to do the reveal for Graves 3? As soon as I can. I don't even need to have the book edited. As long as I can just get the cover out. And I'm not particularly super rushing my cover artist on that either. She's, you know, in university right now studying and everything, so when it happens, it happens. But I'll definitely do that as soon as I can. So I'm really stoked about it. I always love going through the cover process with her, especially since we have the Grave Reports look nailed really well. What's the topic of your Amazon wish list? Oh. Emma Watson's not allowed on my wish list. Amazon doesn't sell publishing contracts. Honestly, it'd be a part for the studio computer I'm building. I know how lame that is, but again, I want to get my studio up and running and dive into this creative thing. I talked about in my first video. I'm deep into passion and stuff and creating, and that's one of mine. And I want to start this game company, and I want to write and make my own games. I have the people for it. I have technically almost all the tools. I just need a graphics card for the second computer and a monitor, and then I'm going to build a desk. The lumber is really easy. I have the space. I can build a double L desk, really simple. I have a computer here in front of me, which is where I have mine, and then I have room to my side here for a desk and monitors right here. And I'll have an L. I can sit here and work. My friend can sit over there, code the game. I can write stories in my free time for the games and do it. I already have game design engines. I own them. I have licenses. I can do all this. And it doesn't take that long for me to start a company. I'm going to put my Funko Pops back, but I'll still be answering. Like, I've got all the time in the world for this and you people. I am so happy to be doing this. I'm gonna go put these back though. What kind of games did you make? Oh, I'd start with like top-down, RPGs like classics, Legend of Zelda, stuff like that. I'm definitely heavy into the story-based elements, so I would be doing RPGs and very big story stuff. Classic Final Fantasy starting out, 2D, easy to run, anyone can play even on like a tablet or something. I want these to be accessible because I'm very big on story. And they definitely be fantasy and sci-fi based, not necessarily urban fantasy at first. It's a genre I already write, so if I write in other genres for a game, it's constant practice and muscling up my writing skills. Have you ever gotten a mani pedi or pedi? Um, I don't even shave that much. I mean, I use just beard trimmer at times. I'm that lazy, so no. I only get my hair cut once a year now. If a person writes a book review, can they use the same review for their blog as they use for Amazon? Yes. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you mean will Amazon get mad? No. Amazon doesn't care. Their biggest thing is... Actually, I don't know what their biggest thing is. Their algorithm. It's not people that remove Amazon reviews and go over that. It's Amazon's algorithms. Who knows why they remove reviews, but having it in the same place, no. People have posted the same review on my books on Barnes & Noble, Goodreads, and Amazon, and their blog, and nothing's happened. Would you play the new Legend of Zelda game that came out? Unfortunately, I can't. I don't own any Nintendo consoles. If I could, I would. Oh, I hope your physical therapy goes well. I can keep going all night. I'm just gonna keep getting water and maybe take a break to grab stuff. And put these back. But yeah, as long as they're not in the same household. Are there any novels you are anxiously waiting to read? Peace Talks by Jim Butcher, the next Dresden Files books. Spoiler. I don't know how many of you are big Dresden Files fans, but give it a minute to wait in case people are. But there's a scene in the Dresden Files where Dresden is told by a character who I also won't spoil, depending on where you are, that she will kill him with peace. You know, or she'll destroy him with peace. I don't remember the exact line, but it's pretty much that. And peace talks might be where that happens. I'd really like to see things add up. Yeah. Oh, also, you know, Doors of Stone, the third Kingkiller Chronicles book by Patrick Rothfuss. But I'm not the only one to say that. I'm not going to keep saying it because the amount of crap I see people give him over that is ridiculous. I really do want to read it. I know he writes slow and he's got a life and stuff. I just want to read it. I'm not going to, you know, harp about it. I'm not really that much into Game of Thrones anymore, to be honest. That's one of those things where George R. R. Martin being that slow has killed it. And I'm not bashing him for it, and I get it, but at this point, like, I don't even feel the urge to go back and reread it. It's absolutely amazing. Maybe I'll pick it up when it comes out, but I'm not anxious or dying to read it. I'm gonna put these back real quick. Yeah, whatever. It would be Cassie that falls to the floor. I have done ziplining. That's the weird thing. Hang gliding and doing something like a physical action in that scenario would not frighten me. I think it's being static, because then I'm very grounded there, and it's like I'm not moving. My thoughts are only on like what's down below me. Whereas if I'm moving, I have physical control of that. What's your opinion of Twilight Saga? I think Twilight, because I haven't read it, but I'm fully aware of it. I know all the jokes people make about it and the literary technique, and I think Twilight is still genius, and here's why. So Stephanie Meyer was actually taught by David Farland, who is an amazingly successful fantasy author. He's actually the man who taught Dan Wells and Brandon Sanderson, for those of you who are familiar. In fact, David Farland has taught more New York Times bestselling authors than anyone else, and Brandon Sanderson is catching up. I'm very fortunate to have met David Farland, and I will tell you right now, out of anyone I've met in the career, he knows how to build an author's brand. He knows how to target your audience. He knows how to write best to your strengths, build your characters, build your world, and make it hit the demographic you're looking for. So say what you will about Twilight. but she knew what she was doing. She knew how to write her novel and deliver it to her fan base. She knew who they were, and everyone talks about they make fun of the tweens and the middle-aged moms who read it. Except that was her market base, and she hit them all perfectly. She delivered the novel and the series she needed to impress them, to turn it into a movie empire, and she did it perfectly. And she did it. She did the writing thing that everyone wants. You can't fault her for it. She built the series, and it hit her demographic. A lot of series are luck. You don't. Some most series hit everybody, or they hit a very niche base. She hit a wide demographic, but it was heavily concentrated in the area she wanted. She wrote to people like herself, a housewife mom, and to the inner, tween teenager, and that's what she wanted to write for, and she did it. Twilight is a massive writing success, and more than that, it's a success that an author absolutely can create and craft a series, deliver it to a certain demographic, and impress them on a massive base. I don't want to say all, because I know there's people within that demographic who don't like it, but they did. Best worst movie. Big Trouble Little China. That movie was so campy and corny, but I love it. How do you know about these other facts about authors? I want to pick your brain forever. I am forever studying other authors. It's something I do. I'm very fortunate to meet, network, and talk with a lot of successful authors from the old traditional world, current indies, hybrids, and new traditional authors. It's just one of those things. Hiding intense. Oh, that's another good reason to keep doing selfies. I'll be back in 2 seconds. I'm not dead or going anywhere for too long, but my doggo is outside and I need to, she probably wants to go out, so I'll be back really quick. And I will answer how do you network in case more questions come by. I'll remember that. I'll be back. Now I want to see the doggo. Oh, I have photos of Oreo, but she's really old and she doesn't like taking photos. I swear she knows when it's a camera. She looks away and she looks really sad, like I'm gonna do something horrible or something. I don't know. She thinks the camera's out for her soul, and it makes me look like a horrible person if I take a photo because she looks so miserable in them. And people are like, "What did you do to your dog?" It's like nothing. She's really happy, but how do I network? I just talk to people. But going to conventions and stuff is probably one of the best ways. I can't explain it. It's one of the and you're on my personal Facebook page, so I always go out and thank everyone. I'm very fortunate to be in touch with all my friends and family online. You guys are all the greatest blessing, and honestly, it's through that you guys have witnessed my career. It's odd. I don't know. At this point, I am very fortunate to know people in the networking world, and then they can extend that and help me network. But you all witnessed it. It started very it was honestly just luck. Mostly I just knew some indies who were doing extremely well, and it started there. And then I went to my first seminar, and I met all these amazing authors. And the way that happened is the person who's my hero in real life, who's not an author, um, he's actually one of my greatest friends, Jim Hurd, and he's like my life mentor and the person I'd actually most want to be like, as a person who's extremely generous and everything. He and his friend knew Kevin J. Anderson. Um, he surprised me with one of the most, probably the most generous thing that anyone's ever done for me. By paying a full expense trip, uh, setting me up VIP to go meet Kevin J. Anderson and study with him and be mentored by him and be introduced to other authors. Meet Jim Butcher, Jody Lynn Nye, Bill Fawcett, who was like one of the original playtesters for Dungeons and Dragons and wrote for them and stuff. By the way, so you have tabletop gaming legends there. Eric Flint of Bane Books. He was not only a massive editor there, but he's also an extremely successful author of the 1632 series. He, for people watching here, actually went over Dangerous Ways for me. He workshopped it back in 2015. Before the book was done, while it was still being finished, I was a couple chapters from the end in Alpha, and he gave me props on it. Kevin J. Anderson looked it over. And that started it, and I met a whole other tribe of people, and since 2015 and now, it's only built. I can't describe it. It's one of those things that I will say, though, is it comes with time, and it will come. Do not worry about it. Do not go out of your way to do it. Let it be organic, and it will happen. Put your works out, and you will start meeting people in the similar field who had those works, and from there, you'll meet more people and more. Don't kill yourself trying to network, because then you're going to ruin the fun of the career. Because it's still a shock to me when I meet all these cool people. It's still enjoyable. I let it be organic and natural, and it's fun. Anyone knows Doggo's name? My doggo's name is Oreo. I can't bring the doggo in. She will not come in. She's really old, and she doesn't like leaving the living room unless it's for a walk or to like come summon me. She's 11 years old, and she's a black German Shepherd, so she's getting old and rickety. I can network for you if I ever see you in person and there's someone you want to talk to. I'm very good at being like, hi, and I will pick you up and carry you to the person you need to speak to, and then you will be speaking to them. But yeah, I'm happy to keep answering writing questions and any other questions personal. I don't know, anything you guys want. I just hope I'm not taking too much time away again from the actual slumber party thingy. Wow, 21 years old. I do know dogs can live that long, and I hope Oreo continues to live a very long time. Obviously, I want her to live forever, but everyone is pick upable. I can't. No, I can't share photos here anyway, but I can pick up a lot of things. I can pick things up. I will pick people up. If it is for a friend and you need to network, I will pick you up. But yeah. I'm totally okay with talking about dogs too. But for everyone saying that well, bringing up that they worry about being fan girly and boy there's nothing wrong with that. You're a human. You're allowed to geek out. Like, people geek out over everything. Every celebrity has someone they geek out over too. People have geeked out on camera over each other. It's natural, and think about it from the other person's view. That's nothing bad. That's extremely flattering to see that, most likely. That you're so impressed and you're enamored by them and their work that you're acting like that. I fanboy when people fanboy over me, which is weird. But I'm shocked and really excited and happy, and it's amazing and exhilarating. And I think as you just go on in the career, people just have a better faith about it. They're more respectful and kind about it. Um, they're more professional about it. Is all. I don't. It's not. I don't. I think they're just as excited still, and they still get that rush. What's your favorite breed of dog? A German Shepherd or a Caucasian Mountain Shepherd, or Tibetan Mastiff. I like big dogs. What's your choice of beverage when relaxing? Green tea or seltzer water? Flavored seltzer water. How do you incorporate people you know into the characters you write? I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this. That's a writing craft way, so all the writers here can actually use it rather than just ponder on it. I like to give it in a toolbox way so you can pick it up. Okay. Write down it. Write down like all of the traits, specific traits of a person you'd like to include in a novel. Out of that, maybe you come up with 5, 10. Take 3 and turn it into a running tag. So if your best friend is extremely kind, loyal, and maybe they're a person with really strong faith, and I mean that like they're really strong religious faith, you have that, and you can use those in your novel and use those 3 tags. And after the first few times you introduce that character and you set them up, those 3 tags alone will resonate with your readers and describe them. Someone you know is really clumsy, extremely kind-hearted though, and you can even use like a physical tag. Those 3 things will be enough, and it only takes 3. Obviously, you introduce a few of those traits, but you emphasize a few of those more than the others, and it becomes a consistent tag in the reader's mind. So when I say like flippant, snarky, or irreverent, people think Vincent Graves, or uppity soul. That's really what he is. That's a physical tag, but uppity plus that, it's Vincent Graves. If I say something like soft-spoken, dreamy blonde with glasses, 3 tags right there. People go church. And those are things I've repeated throughout the first novel and all the rest. I have used the word soft-spoken a lot, but at the same time, it's how it's done. That repetition can also ingrain something, and I only do it with character descriptions, because after a while, you can sum up a character in just those tags, and that becomes really important when you want to save time. But at the same time, it is an author technique, not just for writing. It's brand building. It is definitely a career thing. You want that. You want people to be able to sum up your character in a tag because they might not use it out verbally, but it'll always be in their head. They will associate that. When you go out and you ask somebody like, "Hey, I'm looking for a really snarky, funny character. I like witty characters like Deadpool." Someone will go like, "Oh, read this character because he's snarky, blah blah blah," and they'll use tags. They won't say, well, he's this and he's that, and this is where he lives and this is what he looks like. They'll use personality tags because that's a lot of people gravitate towards certain characters based on that. I've never really heard someone go, "I want to read about this character because of this occupation." People will say, "I like a strong female lead character. I like a strong male lead character. I like someone who's creative. I like someone who's funny. I like someone who, is very active rather than reactive. They make things happen." So tags are a very good way to establish that, and it's what I would apply to if you're going to characterize someone else. Because you can boil people down, to tags. That's not to say they're a summation of just those tags, but you can pull their strongest traits out and then use it to link a person to that character. What flavor seltzer? Orange, grapefruit, lime. I like the way they taste. I would not care if you fangirled over me. I still don't get it or see it, but I'm okay. What do you like on your pizza? Mushrooms, onions, exotic cheeses, or I guess lesser used ones. Goat cheese, feta, stuff like that. What's the one trope you don't necessarily hate but are tired of reading? Um, well, because of how close urban fantasy is to me, I've been a really big proponent of this, and it's something that personally bothers me. And it doesn't start with a trope, but it's built off of one. And I will talk about the trope. But the male snarky wizard character, specifically those three tags, because that's something that's very hammered down to Harry Dresden. Jim Butcher created that and earned it. And I've seen a lot of indie authors, and this goes back to the whole dynamic I was talking about, where there's become this culture of putting out books really fast. This culture goes deeper in that there's subsets of groups where, okay, normally when you're writing a genre, you study the genre, you study the tropes, but you never write to the tropes. You write the genre, and tropes are like seasoning. They can strengthen it if you hit the right ones organically. Like, this is something you go like, I can do this. I don't need to do, the hero's journey, which is not necessarily a novel. It is a trope in itself. It is a series of tropes. The hero's journey does not guarantee a great novel. You can have a great novel and have characters embody the hero's journey and have those moments, and it will strengthen it. It can strengthen it. But writing to that trope is wrong. And what happens in this subset of community is people have turned certain successful authors into a trope. So if you're writing urban fantasy, you, instead of going, what makes urban fantasy great? What's the core of urban fantasy? People are going, who are the best-selling urban fantasy authors? And they pick parts of those authors, meaning they're essentially taking what's synonymous with that author. And the snarky male wizard is starting to be done so much that everything's starting to read like a Dresden Files clone, and not in a flattering way. I'm personally getting sick of it. It's why I went the opposite way. I am not writing a snarky male wizard. I'm writing, there's nothing wrong with snarky, but it's gotten to the point where people's magic systems are starting to emulate Harry Dresden. The lifestyle, how flippant they are. It's such a comparison at this point. It's not going far away from it. And it's also gotten to the point where I see people taking ads out claiming as good as the Dresden Files, the next Dresden Files. They'll say things like waiting for the Dresden Files. They're constantly using his name and trying to lump their work with it. And they've already gotten the dynamic that they also have a male wizard. Now, he doesn't own that, but it's become a thing where they've almost troped up a character and a style that's very synonymous to Jim Butcher and he built his career on. I just don't think it's fair. If you want to do something creative with it, yes. Like there's somebody who created a male necromancer. That's a kind of wizard. He's very focused on dead, zombies and things like that. That's creative. When you start ripping off an author's gimmick and just reskinning it and turning it into a trope, it gets very irritating. That's something that has gotten to me. It's something that, there are books I will turn away if you describe your main character as a male wizard like Harry Dresden. At that point, I'm like, well, I'll just read Dresden if I want a male wizard. And it's something that's very personal. One trope I can't get enough of. It's sad because it is a trope and it shouldn't be. With a strong female character, I love seeing that. It's not just a good form of representation, but it's a good form of characterization. You wouldn't want someone passive as your main character. You'd want someone dynamic. And that's not to say they can't be broken down and beaten down, but you want a character who gets back up. You want a character who fights even when they're losing. It's human nature. You don't want someone who rolls over and dies all the time. And it's become a trope, sadly, and I wish it wasn't. It's why I aim to also write some strong main female characters. I do have those urban fantasy series coming out. I'm just stretched so thin right now I can't start those properties, but I like seeing people's takes on it, because the people who do it well will never just write someone flat, and they won't write pretty much the female version of Harry Dresden. They'll create a new personality. They will allow that person to be vulnerable but strong and overcome things. How do you decide settings? Like, why use New York a few times and not LA or another time? I use New York because without setting up spoilers, there's certain things I'm trying to accomplish. Not everything in my urban fantasy world will in fact be set in New York. There are only 2 series that will 100% be set in New York, and that's The Great Report and The Books of Winter. Everything else will in fact be taking place in other cities around America. There are specific events I'm trying to chain up in the city, the boroughs of New York. So Manhattan, Queens, places like that. And those two series necessitate that. That's just it. I'm gonna have series in other cities around America. Some will even take place in suburbs, or I guess suburb counties. That's how I choose. I know New York really well outside of where I live. I have family there. I have friends there, so I can always have reference and try to get accuracy. Um, and I also really like New York. And the other reason is a lot of the other cities have already been done for urban fantasy. A lot of people shied away from New York because it's so dominated by the superhero scene. So I was like, okay, well, if superheroes own it, there's still a different genre. There's superhero. I'll try to claim it and build my name in it for urban fantasy. Who's your favorite strong female uh, in fiction? Oh, maybe Kitai from Codex of Alera by Jim Butcher. Um, Maybe Fail from The Wheel of Time. Oh, I definitely would consider that Corpus Christi for a locale. Um, Texas has a lot of great historical folklore as well between a lot of Latin influences over the years and just Southern American mythology, which is a huge thing. There are a lot of subregions all throughout the South that have their own mythos. Some of it blend with Mexican culture, and it would be an absolute great place to set a novel, and I might very well take you up to that. Do you read other genres besides urban fantasy? Yes. Okay, I grew up heavily with science fiction first. Oh, I shouldn't say it's science fiction, but it's definitely space opera. It was Star Wars. It's definitely not hard science fiction. It reads like a fantasy in space. Um, but I actually grew up a lot with traditional fantasy, and I still read that a lot. I read urban fantasy. I read sci-fi. I read hard sci-fi. I read military fiction, military sci-fi, military fantasy. Epic fantasy is more grandiose, more gritty, down to earth fantasy like Game of Thrones. The Black Company is probably one of my favorite fantasies. It is extremely dark and gritty. In many ways, it paints a darker picture of war than Game of Thrones ever does. Because it's about a mercenary group just in the trenches, and you're watching them lose members one by one by one by one over years. It's dark, but it's very well written. Greek gods or Norse gods? Both are very popular. I like the Greek gods more. Be- the Norse gods, in a lot of ways, are very larger than life and abstract, which is not to say the Greek gods weren't, but a lot of the Greek gods were very capricious. They were very human in their nature. These are gods prone to jealousy, and they take mortal form and walk among us. Uh, they turn people into animals, become animals, and do horrible things. Zeus. They weren't above petty jealousy. It's a very what if God was one of us kind of things. I think in many regards they're relatable, but because of how human they come across, that makes them great characters to use in literature. Because at the end of the day, the more you can humanize something, the better the character is. Proof of that, Groot only has one word or three words in his vocabulary, and he still conveys a lot of expression, and he's definitely personified in a physical, very human-esque form. Um, we're humans; we relate to things like ourselves, and I think the more even like a paranormal being comes across as a human, the more you can use it to influence the story and the reader's feelings, which are important. And the Norse gods have always seemed very larger than life. Even though Zeus hurled thunder, you know, uh, in the way the mythologies are portrayed, you don't see Thor coming down actually hanging out with people a lot and drinking mead like he does in the Marvel comics. Mythologically, it doesn't really just happen. He's fighting ice giants and that's what he does and that's it. Um, Whereas Greek gods will come down and they will mess with humans and they'll take part in it. Bacchus will throw a party. Uh, how did you like Ender's Game? I know how special that is to a lot of people. I'm not one of them. I don't know what to say. I read it. I don't. Love it. I don't hate it. I finished the book. Have you read The Expanse? I have not. I need to. I've heard no end of stuff telling me to read The Expanse. I know that. Who would you want to play your characters if they were made into movies? That's a good question. Okay. For the first... For well, I don't think my novels right now are set up for movies. I think they'd be better as TV shows, and specifically The Great Report as a serial, run like 24, an episode by each hour. So the first book would be like, without spoilers, it wouldn't be 13 hours, it'd be longer because something happens in that book that that changes. But I'm trying to think this. So yeah, I think The Great Report would do better as a TV show. Because Vincent Graves does not have a set body, and because the audience and the readers do not know what he looks like, neither do I. Well, I do, but I haven't shown that, if that makes sense. Vincent does not. There's no way to do it like Quantum Leap, where the reader or the viewer can see a consistent body that's separate from the body he's in. So it makes it difficult, but I think for like season 1, Tomoa Pinkett would play Norman Smith very well and be Vincent Graves at the same time, but that would be the only physical form you see, and they'd have to get a new actor next season. But it would be very Doctor Who-esque. It'd be like Doctor Who meets 24, hour by hour, but you can get one actor per season and change it. From an industry standpoint, now I'm getting really business geeky. It makes a lot of sense, because a lot of smaller or newer actors could sign on, build their name as credits, commit to one season, move on to something else. The studio does not have to sit there negotiating for massive contracts over years, and they can hire someone else and give them a chance. Season 2, different body, different number of episodes per hour. You have an hour by hour case, and you could change it and change the pacing and tension to really build on that. I mean, I would allow creative liberties with that. Ortiz, I have no clue. I've never really thought it through. I want it to happen, but depending on the studio, I would hopefully trust them. What is your favorite mythological creature? I don't really have one. That's the whole reason I write the Great Report. I like delving and digging into the more obscure mythologies. And I'm trying to showcase and represent a lot of unseen ones. I honestly can't answer that. I don't have a favorite creature. Have you read Neil Stephenson or William Gibson? I've read Neuromancer. I have not read Neil Stephenson. Wait. Neil Stephenson did Snow Crash. I have to Google that because I think I have read him then. I know he's freaking awesome. There's some authors I'll blank on. Let's see, Snow Crash. If I can spell. Yes, yeah, I've read them both. I have read Neuromancer and Snow Crash. Other than Harry, who's your favorite Dresden Files character? If I can count Mouse, or Thomas. I like Thomas Wraith. I think he's very well written. It sucks for the situation he's in, but I really do like that character. If you had to go back in time, what period would you like to live in? I wouldn't like to go back in time. I am very comfortable with the amenities we have, and I like that. You go back far enough in time, medical advancements go back with you, and that sucks. I don't want to go back and get polio or something, or a disease that, even with cheap insurance, you can get taken care of. I'm very happy living here. I wouldn't mind going to the future, where, hopefully be like Star Trek, and we have replicators and poverty and everything solved, and I can replicate whatever I want. Would you keep the titles in the Great Report from the series, or like other novels adapted to a different name? If the Great Report got a TV show, I'd want them to keep the name to be synonymous with the book, because something I've learned from the industry is, believe it or not, you will not make tons of money on movies or TV shows. You won't. Without getting very into the nitty-gritty of Hollywood, it's definitely a business. They're very clever with how they report their money. Everything's a marketing expense. Movies like Lord of the Rings and stuff, a lot of those things technically lost money, depending on how it was reported and stuff. and it has to do with how you're paid based on gross or net, and net comes after all the expenses. And some people get paid by gross before all those expenses are paid. So some people get their money before others. The way you make your bajillions off TV shows and stuff is through the books. Your book sales go through the roof. So the easier it is to, link the name of the TV show to the series in the books, the easier it is for people to get it. You want that ease. You want customers to be able to jump right into it and get it. And the Great Report works perfectly fine as a TV show name. I'd like to make it as easy as possible for them. I know how that career oriented that sounds, but that's something I'm learning. Like I said, it's definitely a business. It's definitely an art first, and I will always see it as an art. But you need to learn how to sell your art and protect your art. Greatest example of this, I'll give right now. For you video gamers who are familiar with The Witcher, which I can't remember. I think it's Denmark, where the stories follow a lot of that European region's mythology and takes on history. And the Witcher games are actually based off a series of books by a very successful author from Denmark. He has not made a penny really off of the games. In fact, he really hurt himself in his career. He negotiated for an upfront payment off the video games rather than royalties. He didn't think it would do very well. He got his lump sum. The games went on to be an extremely massive hit. Because of also the derivation between the games and the fact that a lot of people don't know that his books are even games are even based off his books. I don't know how much they've affected his book sales. You want all of that to be connected. Yeah, so it's a very long-winded answer, but I think it's an important thing to bring up for a lot of you who are starting your careers. I like to keep the name as close as possible to it. Game of Thrones, even though that's not the series name, it's still the name of the first book. If you put that in, you will find a Song of Fire and Ice. That works well enough. I'd like it to be connected somehow to the name of the series to make it easier for customers to find it. How many times can a vampire die? I don't think any vampire has still died as many times as Daniel Jackson has in Stargate, to be fair. Dying characters, they've been done. Doctor Who's done it. I think Daniel Jackson still died more times than the Doctor overall as incarnations. Maybe not. He died 20 times? What about the Winchesters? They die multiple times a season now, it seems like. My character starts off the series dead in someone else's body and dies at the end of each novel. So there'll come a point where Vincent Graves will have died more than some TV characters. Okay. Thank you for hanging out, and I hope your writing goes really well. Lovecraft or Poe? Poe. Yes, I absolutely love Stargate SG-1. It's one of my favorite series. I own all 10 seasons. I like Stargate Atlantis too. I wish it had gone on. The series it ended. It was technically a forced ending. Yeah, they just had to wrap it up, and it sucks, but it is what it is. The Wraith weren't defeated. I wish Stargate Atlantis went on. I never got into Universe. I tried the first episode. I couldn't watch it. Books or movies? Books. Oh, I do also want to point out for anyone that's watching this in lower quality right now for the stream or wants to watch it later, this will be archived and saved to my YouTube, and it's still recording in high definition at 60 frames. So instead of watching it live, which does take a larger toll on your internet, you can actually wait till it's done. Not trying to be pushy, but making it easier for people, and you can watch it in high definition at faster speed once it's recorded and played back rather than watching it live. That's very true. I don't know how many. I don't know how many questions you guys have left. I mean, maybe I shouldn't ask that. Granted, I'm assuming you guys can come up with a bajillion. Favorite food, fish wise. Tuna. I also happen to like tuna sushi a lot. I'm not really a fan of canned tuna. I like the fish when it's prepared well. Um, or when it's prepared well in sushi specifically. I definitely like tuna sushi. Okay. Advice for somebody writing about urban fantasy. Do you have a specific question about it, or just like something to start with? Pick your locale, because in urban fantasy, your setting is a character in of itself. It allows for a lot of development and the use in which you can show off that mythology. Because urban fantasy is very heavy in the fantastical elements. That's in its name, and that means mythology for a lot of people. Okay, Dresden Files again. Chicago is built on layers and layers and layers that slowly keep sinking over the years. Meaning there's an undertown. If you have an underground, shanty city, there could be creatures of the night living there. Now you have another sub community that you can build on. That adds another layer to your world. I'm not saying start with your setting, but hammer it out. Have an idea of your setting, because it only allows you to expand more, which gives you more opportunities to work with. Um, and I'll keep answering that. I'm just going to answer some of the shorter ones ever. Do you have favorite ice cream? Maybe the espresso ones, pistachio. I really like, which is weird, I know, but I do. Chocolate's classic, and sweet cream, which is not vanilla, by the way, but sweet cream's a great base. You can make anything out of it and add to it. How would you feel about being a character in someone else's book? Honored. Um, how would you want to be portrayed? However you want. I can hope it's in a good light. That's all I can ask. But to go back to the urban fantasy thing, it can be written in first or third person. You are not required at all to write it in first person, even though it's prevalent. But there are amazing third person fantasy novels out there. Um, but hammer down their voice. Definitely have your main character. And I don't mean that as, I mean, I know how stupid that sounds, but urban fantasy is definitely a normally character driven genre. Because closer to the ground, you're not telling this massive epic, in a fantasy world over this age. It's more grounded today. So it's definitely character and people who propel that. Can you do it other ways? Absolutely. I still think it's a genre that lends to character driven stories. So have a lot of your character out in your mind, understand where they're going to go, or at least understand who they are so they can write themselves and tell you where to go. Give them a good city or environment to play with. That allows you more options. You don't want people to get bored when you're navigating your city. Your city is a character. And it's also a character that, if done right, is familiar to people. That sense of familiarity means, first of all, it's easier to write it. People will slip into the fictive dream easier. Wow, I sound so professional, like I know what I'm talking about. And it's easier to get references for. I mean, just people won't pull out as hard. It's something believable, which entrances people. They can imagine, like, oh, I can imagine this variation of New York or something else. Did you read Stephen King's On Writing? Yes, I have that on my shelf. It's an absolutely wonderful book for authors. It's not going to teach you how to be a better writer, in my opinion, but I don't think that's what it was supposed to do. I think it was supposed to make you feel more comfortable, more confident and more productive as a writer, which it definitely does. It definitely clears up a lot of the myths, encourages you to write, encourages and shows you how to better your commitment to writing. Not beating yourself up, embracing it more, coming into it more with an open mind, setting schedules, hitting word counts, not being discouraged. And I think it does that absolutely wonderfully. Do you prefer reading a first or third person? Both. I actually don't have a preference. While I may write heavily first person, it's only because of my genre. In fact, the next series I'm writing will be third person. It's why I still write a lot of third person short stories to continue practicing that. I don't actually have a preference. It doesn't matter to me. I want a good story. And that's definitely a good sign that if a character pops into your head and won't let go. That's how the Books of Winter happened. The Books of Winter is also a study in something. Even though the series is named after Cassidy Winters, obviously. If I had to be the main character, it'd be like reading a female version of Vincent Graves. Was one reason I didn't make it. But urban fantasy is normally very heavy on the main character and their story, which I'm definitely doing for Jonathan Hawthorne in Dangerous Ways. But I wanted to do a study of what if the main character had to watch someone else's story and be part of that while dealing with the consequences of their life and how it folds into someone else's. So Cassidy Winters is technically the star of the series, but you're seeing someone else watch her story and go through it. It's kind of like, what if you saw Lord of the Rings through Sam's perspective? Sam was definitely the hero of the story, made everything happen. He had no reason to help. He was not bound to the ring. The Shire, for the longest time, could have gone on untouched. He did it all for the love of his best friend. He did it out of choice. Gandalf may have asked him to. He didn't have to. Frodo may have been the hero who got the ring there finally and destroyed it, but Sam chose to be there. That's kind of what I'm doing here. This is Cassidy Winter's story, but you're seeing it from the perspective of Sam. This is already leaked on the ARC chapters that I put out there, plus in the samples. Jonathan Hawthorne did not and does not have to help Cassidy Winters. He chose to. He is Sam in this story. He's a witness to it. He definitely has his own problems and things that are going to come up in it. But at the end of the day, it's his choices with somebody else's. And that all came about and wouldn't leave me alone. And the novel turned out great, in my opinion. So I think that's a good sign. Grossest thing you ever ate. Okay, there's two things. One's a drink. One is a food, which I now love. When I was 8, the first time I had octopus sushi. I was 8. I don't think it was actually well-made sushi, but I threw it up immediately, and not because it was raw fish. They didn't actually tell us what it was. I just ate it, and it tasted wrong and disgusting, and it had nothing to do with the fact it was cold. It just didn't taste right. It could have been just poorly prepared. I was 8. I don't know, but I vomited it out, and it was the most abhorrent thing ever. And it's why I didn't try sushi for the longest time again as an adult, until I did. And the second would be alcohol. I know, and I'm not bashing anyone about it. I think it tastes disgusting, like every form of it. That's true. Saruman would have destroyed the Shire, but my argument is not that. Frodo would have still gone on even without Sam. Now, would he have succeeded? I don't think so. But the ring wouldn't have been in the Shire technically. My argument about why I wrote Dangerous Ways is Sam's perspective as the story was written. If Sam hadn't gone along, we can't say if Frodo would have succeeded or not, but he still would have gotten out of the Shire. The ring would no longer have been there. The ring wraiths would still be hunting him down. Going to the Shire would at that point be pointless. There's nothing there but hobbits, and the ring's not there. I don't know how the dynamic of the story would have changed, but I like the fact that Sam is the hero. He's the one who stuck with Frodo all the way through. Watched Frodo fall into temptation and helped him out of it. And that's what I meant was inspiring dangerous ways. Lose all the hair off your head or lose all the hair off the rest of your body. Body. I don't know. Um, no, I do know that I would pick body, but I don't know if that's important or not. It seems like anyway, all the dudes on the cover of magazines that gals like anyway happen to all be like waxed up like surfboards. So maybe that would do me favors. I look more like Wolverine under like all of this. So how likely would you be to read a book of an unknown author that someone sends to you? I read almost everything I get my hands on. Unfortunately, I do admit right now, I haven't been reading as much as I'd like to. I mean, I could finish books in days. I finished the last Harry Potter in one day in a marathon, just reading it morning to night. I want that time back, and this is going to get very philosophical, but it goes back to the saying each man kills the things he loves, and it's very true. By becoming a writer, I'm so inundated of the craft of writing stories that I'm no longer able to read as many as I want because I'm busy writing them. Now, that's not to say I don't read. Reading is the best apprenticeship you will ever have. You will only learn if you read and write. You cannot, in my opinion, become a great writer at the exclusion of not reading. You have to read. Reading more makes you better. That's where you pick samples and see how other people do something. I'm just very crunched up my time and the pressure of trying to make a career out of it. I don't get to read as much as I want. But I would definitely read someone who I didn't know. That's how I came to Jim Butcher. I had no idea who he was. I didn't even know he was famous. My best friend just gave me the first book in the Dresden Files and said, read it. And I was like, okay. I'm totally okay answering random questions. No, I meant like, I'm hairy chested and all that kind of stuff. That's what I meant by Wolverine. I mean, I don't have his face. I did not know that about him. If I don't, do I sing? I actually can't. I have a horrible voice. I don't know. Okay, well, no, I don't. If you're asking, can I sing? I actually don't know. I never attempted it. I don't have any training, and I mean, I don't want to, it's a disservice to say maybe I can when people actually practice it, and it's a skill and a craft. I never have. I never tried. I don't sing. So I guess I'll just say no. If I were a character in a book, who would I'd want to play me. I don't think anyone would do a better job than me. I'm me. I'm the meest me there can be. And getting my inner Dr. Seuss out. No, I never really hummed. Yeah, now people are thinking I'm weird or an alien or something. No, I'm already so. You guys see how much I move my hands. I'm playing with like the tassel thingy on my pajamas right now. Like I'm very physically engaged. That's so much extra coordination trying to hum something in tune that I don't know. My ADHD's whack. Um, and it goes back to what kind of music do I listen to? I listen to music without lyrics. Um, Anime theme songs, epic music, stuff like John Williams. I mean, I have playlists I can just share eventually. Um, Favorite childhood book? If I had to pick one, it's kind of odd. I don't even remember a lot of it, but it was really important then. And it's called Call It Courage, and I think I don't remember the nationality of the main character. I think he was Polynesian, but he was an islander who eventually, and his entire people, um, lived out. It's through the sea. They were fishermen. You'd go out in a canoe and you'd catch fish, and he was like the only one that was terrified by water. I can't remember why. I think his mother died out in the sea, or and at one point I think he gets lost, and it's really hard for him to survive on his own. And there's a terrifying like mako shark that's like haunting the waters he's in, destroying his like traps for food and everything. And eventually he has to go out and kill the shark. I read that when I was really young and put into an accelerated reading group, which was a really important part of my life because it only emboldened my love for reading more. And I was never really great academically in other areas, so I was put into a reading group where we were reading more. We were reading chapter books when we were like 4 or 5. Most kids weren't. They were still reading like See Spot Run. We were reading like Witches by Roald Dahl and James and the Giant Peach and Call It Courage, and that one just stuck with me because it definitely had this motivational philosophy of like how hard it can be to do the scary things, but you can do them. I can share my playlist. I have considered American Sign Language. I just don't know when I would get around to learning it because I still want to learn other languages too. The first book I ever wrote, um, that is an absolutely horrible fantasy novel. And okay, I can describe it one sec. I can hear my dog scratching at the front door. She's been out for a while. It's nice weather though. I'm gonna go let her back in, and I will answer that. I had that saved somewhere too. I don't know where. It's absolute garbage. And I can talk about that at length, and it'll embarrass me greatly. For particular reasons, which you all laugh at. Okay, so my first book, since we were talking about that, is called The Chronicles of the Middle Kingdom. It was a high fantasy in where it the main character was definitely fantasy version high school me. Because why not? And he's a super awesome and dashing, charming rogue. Because, of course, that's what in my dreams what I'm obviously like. Um, yeah, he was pretty much me with my short hair. The way I looked right when I started college, I was in way better shape back then. Um, My best friend was the companion character. The best friend in the novel who they start off as enemies, and God, it was so corny. It was wish fulfillment, and now I'm understanding that's actually not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with that. It's honest, and why does it matter? People do that all the time. You daydream, why not write it? But it was wish fulfillment, and the princess, of course, was Megan Fox, because this was when Transformers first came out. She was awesome, and I didn't think, she was a bad actress because the movie just came out and I hadn't seen it. So I was like, yeah, why not? It was horrible. It sucked, but it was the most fun thing in the world to write. I was excited. I wanted to write fantasy. I was creating races and magic, and I had no idea how anything worked. It was pure writing. As bad as it was, there was no worry about publishing. There was no career pressure. There was just writing. I want to tell a story. And it was probably the most amazing experience of my life, and it sold me on that. And honestly, I need to get back to that kind of that thought process, because it really does help. What's the first book you remember reading? The first actual solid book, I think it's so called Courage. I know I read the James and the Giant Peach and Roald Dahl books. I just don't remember the order, and I think it's called Courage first. I'm not counting picture books and stuff like that. Cause I remember Sesame Street with Grover, the monster, at the end of the book. I don't count that. No, my first book was definitely worse than yours. I mean, the main character was me. I mean, there wasn't any, it was fantasy me who gets to rescue Megan Fox. It's pretty bad. No, it's really bad. And of course, he's amazing at everything he does, because, characters don't have to learn things. They just know stuff. They can do whatever you need them to do, because it's awesome. Nobody cares about realism. They want things to be awesome to be awesome. Did you write stories as a kid? No. I actually drew a lot as a kid. I sucked at it. I just scribbled. But I guess it was a vehicle for storytelling. I definitely daydreamed with the drawings I made. But I never wrote much as a kid. I always had a facility for language and English. I was always, well read, and I never had to study for English class. I never had to study for vocab quizzes. This goes into my life, but one of my earliest punishments for forever, and I mean nearly a decade plus, was writing words from the dictionary every day. So, despite the fact I don't demonstrate, this amazingly diverse vocabulary, I have one. I just don't, use it. It goes back to being natural, and that there's not this authenticity in being natural. And that will shine through your work. When you develop a consistent writing voice, it shows when you stumble through the thesaurus and you decide to plug in a word, versus if you naturally came to one, even if it's, maybe not as common, it's a more natural fit for the way you narrate. And that shows. It's organic. So I try not to be, do that with my vocabulary, but it's why I was, I guess, maybe destined to end up a writer. English has always had a huge role in my life, from the dictionary to enjoying English classes because they were easy. And I don't know, this is getting deeply metaphysical, but it's one of those things that led me to believe, maybe, I don't know, that there is a part where, people have the ability to choose, but you're definitely handed some things, good things, like directions in life. And I think writing is mine. Because it definitely came out of the blue. I had no inclination to be a writer, even when I was deciding high school paths. My family pretty much had that ingrained in me. I was going to be a lawyer or a doctor or engineer, but I was definitely leaning towards law. And some very dark stuff happened, and I know exactly what prompted me to write. And I was very angry at a particular author, and I was very full of hubris, and I could do it better, and of course I couldn't. But the second I started writing, everything made sense in my life. Not everything, but I knew what I wanted to do. I was happy, which was extremely important, and there I am. Here I am. Firefly or Buffy? Firefly. I don't know how short it is, but it's Firefly. It definitely has a lot of the same elements as Buffy, including the characters. Not necessarily who they are, but obviously the way they're portrayed and some of the traits. There's just something that resonates more Firefly with me, and I can't explain that. It can't. It's just a deep personal thing. It's just what it was when I watched it. No. Oh. Okay, I'll read the question out loud. What is your take on fan fiction? Would you read fan fiction of your own stories? I'm not against fan fiction at all. I don't want to read it, and in fact, I don't read other people's fan fictions of the other properties, and it's not me bashing. I'm not against it, but and I actually cannot read my own. I not only do I not want to, but I can't. It is definitely a legal thing because there have been instances where an author might be doing something. I mean, fans are very intelligent. I mean, we're all readers and authors. We're smart. We can make educated guesses of where things might go and write that fan fiction, and the author might very well be going there. And if they read that and you wrote that fan fiction first because the author's building the series to get to that, it causes a lot of legal issues. It really does. And it can also be disheartening. If people figure things out, that's great. I don't mind that. Don't go public about it. Keep it for yourself. And if it comes out in the series, it's like, yay, you figured that out first. That's great for you. But and then I know fan fiction can also run rampant, but like those might be ideas an author's doing or wants to do and hasn't been able to. I don't want to read it, and I can't. I'm not against it. If people want to write it, they will. I don't think I get fan fiction. I'm not at that point of being. Yeah, I'm not that established. Like outside of Nano, which is weird in itself that I've whatever kind of career I have built and the attention I get, it's still kind of odd and shocking. But yeah, I'm not at that point in my career. They mispronounce all sorts of words. Yeah, definitely a sign of reading. We definitely come across a lot of words, and we don't always have a guide on how to do them. Wow, this one's running really late too. Not against that. Just worried about people logging off and stuff and having to do things. But as long as people are enjoying this, I can keep doing it. I just don't want to pull people away from the actual Slumber party, which I think is actually still going on too. Favorite time of day? I'm a night owl, but I like evenings. They're not my favorite time of day now, but they're my ideal time of day, and this goes to being wishy and dreamy. But if I had a relationship with that special person and I had a more stable life and the one I want, it would be time to wind down and do things and just maybe enjoy stuff. I like the way evening looks. There's like not getting too metaphysical about it, but a vibe that things are slowing down. People are getting off work. It's a very downtime part of the day. There's just something about it. Like I could go for a drive then and be very happy, or just sit and lounge and read. I know Non-Nana is a good book. That's very shocking because almost everyone I know who likes my stuff is a Nana. So I don't know. I feel like I have a very isolated bubble and fan base. Maybe I don't get my own hype. Which I should as an author because it's part of my brand. But yeah. Yeah, I've never been invited to a Slumber party either. I don't think guys throw those. I think they throw things at each other and that's about it. Um, I was not popular in high school. I did not get invited to places. Have you ever played Spin the Bottle or 7 Minutes in Heaven? I don't know. I know what Spin the Bottle is, but no. I don't know what the other thing is. I never played any of those. I was not one of the cool kids. I didn't get to go anywhere. Most awkward. Yeah, I mean, I had my awkward moments, but they're definitely none of that. Most of them were just me being me. I was definitely awkward. I'm still awkward. So, but no, I didn't go out. I don't friends. I have like two, maybe in the immediate real life vicinity that I can hang out with on a, I'd like to say regular basis, but I'll be honest, it's not even that. Both are extremely busy. One of my best friends is my mentor, who's actually old enough to be my father, and because that he's got a full time job. He runs like an amazing. He's like Tony Stark, like literally. He creates all sorts of cool stuff. Plays with lasers, has like all the coolest technology, and just makes things. And he runs his own company, a really successful one, in the IT technological field here. So he's always busy, And then my best friend I never really get to see either, who is my age, and we grew up together. So I did not do a lot of people things. Favorite time wasting activity. Now that I have monies, some enough to afford Netflix and stuff, binge watching TV shows I missed out on, stuff, trying to catch up with that. When you get stuck at writing, how do you get unstuck? I never really was good at that before. I have learned to get better at that. Because before I used to get stuck a lot. Now, if I get stuck, I've made it a point I still have to write a certain number of words a day. So I'll start a short story. I'll write something else. Because a short story has no commitment. It goes back to the pure writing. I can just publish it up on my website. No one can tell me no. I don't have to make money on it. I just have to finish it. It's writing, it gets your brain going, and I'll read. It's really that simple for me at this point. And it works. Now I'm kind of sad I missed out on 7 Minutes of Heaven. Who's this guy you said that teaches the best-selling novelist? David Farland. He still teaches. You can find him on mystorydoctor.com. And he shares something from his, he shares chapters from his book called $1 Million Outlines. He's obviously definitely an outliner, a plotter. He does teach pantsers too. He knows how to hybrid. He's an amazingly well-skilled and hardworking author. So David Farland is most known for the Rune Lords. That came about close to the same time as The Wheel of Time. It's an epic high fantasy series. He's also written for video games and Hollywood. In fact, yeah, one of the places you might know him best for is he's technically the brain behind creating Real Steel. He was asked to sort of come up with like a short story game idea to hype up Rock'em Sock'em Robots, and instead he came up with this idea for Real Steel and created the story for it that they turned into a movie. And you all know how that movie did. It did extremely well, actually. But if you want, I can write it down. Let's see. Are DC TV shows or Marvel TV shows better right now? Um, I think it's who you are. I'm a DC fan and I can't watch any of the DC television shows. They've all burned me out. I love the Marvel ones, however, I don't love them all. Uh, I've only liked Daredevil and Luke Cage. I couldn't get through Jessica Jones. I'm gonna try again. And I felt no interest to watch Iron Fist at all. I can't even say why. I just don't care. Um, and I know Iron Fist's story pretty well. I've read the Defenders as well. I read all the properties across the comic companies, not just Marvel and DC, but I read Dark Horse, Image, Vertigo, IDW. I read the smaller comic companies too. I don't know why. I just didn't feel the hype with this show. What kind of cat would you want if you were to get one for cuddles and laser pointer games? A fluffy one? I don't know cat breeds. I just know my best friend Chris's cats are butt munches who will purposely come in and mush him in the face and fart in his room and knock things over. And my mentor, who's my other best friend, his cat is the nicest cat in the world. Very chill and docile, but he's also like massive. I don't know. He looks like the Pusheen cat, the Facebook meme cat, the really husky cat. He's actually not fat. He's just a built fluffy cat. But I like that cat. He's a giant, really docile fluff ball, really gentle soul. Um, Not really in your way and won't harass things. He's really just calm. Favorite internet meme? I never got into memes. I don't know. I can't come up with one off the top of my head. I know I've seen dozens. I just can't come up with one. I'm not really good at. I'm not one of the cool kids. I don't do memes well. Maybe, maybe Doge meme the dog. I like Doge meme. I speak like Doge meme on Facebook. Uh, Arrow was good for me when it started. Eventually they started turning it into a Batman ripoff by pretty much taking all the cool things I wish they've done with Batman on TV and in movies and putting it in Arrow, which make no sense because they're using a lot of Batman's famous rogues gallery and his villains and his story arcs with the League of Assassins and things, and shoving it over to Arrow to make him cooler and make him like pretty much Batman with a bow and arrow. And it just kind of ruined it for me because it had so much potential for everything else. I'm like, Arrow has its own great set of villains, some who have shown up and have been done wonderfully, and they could have expanded on that. And it's like they're trying to do that and make him Batman at the same time. They're trying to make him Batman for the television version of the Justice League, which is why they have Flash and Supergirl and everything else. I don't know. I saw where they're going and I wasn't happy with it. Um, Flash just burned me out after a while. I don't think they were doing all they could with Barry Allen. Every solution to every problem is pretty much you have to run faster, Barry. Run, Barry, run. You can do this. And then the next book he has to run fast. I mean, the next episode he has to run faster, and even faster, and even faster, and then he has to run faster in the opposite direction. That's Flash's power, but he in the comics he's extremely creative with what he uses his speed to do. Um, that includes thinking at light speed. He can outthink his opponents. Barry Allen's smart. He's a scientist. He has almost like a genius level IQ. I wish they showed the characters doing more, I guess. Yeah. Um, Also, my favorite Flash is Wally West, so. And they're doing Barry Allen, which is nothing wrong with that. I like him too, but. Deathstroke was somebody I didn't like how they did. I hated the outfit. They gave him what looked like a cheap Comic Con rubber mask. What I loved was when the series started and you see the cloth Deathstroke mask on the arrow. I wish they had used that one. It would have looked way more menacing. Oh, and I saw that twist coming with Harrison Wells like a mile away. Anyone who's read the, you knew too. You know you did. Um, yeah. I don't know. Anime you'd most recommend for someone getting into? Okay. Um, story wise, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Not Full Metal Alchemist, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. If you want creative use of magic, hard science, impressive character writing, diversity, character build up, plot coherency, gut punches to the feels, Full Metal Alchemist. If you want something that has that but is a little bit higher on suspension of disbelief, is absolutely amazing, over the top action, beautiful, visceral to watch, exciting, that unleashes your inner 5-year-old, and not counting Dragon Ball Z, Bleach. Um, One of my all-time favorites in personal is Fairy Tail. Spelt like this. It's actually, yeah. Don't watch the original, as Lizzie says. Fairy Tail is spelt like that. Specifically, tail as in like the appendage, not tail as in story, and there's a reason why. Yeah, Brotherhood is the best. See, I need a girlfriend who knows anime and like writing stuff and all that kind of things, and I have just plushies. My life sucks. I have not watched that. I'd pick both because I don't have to choose between Hans Christian Andersen or Brothers Grimm. Their literary bodies are very different. The Brothers Grimm's and their works have been very overdone, but I think Hans Christian Andersen has better lessons in his work, like The Ugly Duckling and stuff like that. But he's also tackled fairy tales, and I think he wrote The Snow Queen, which I don't want to get into, but I'm a fan of a lot of his the things he's done as well. Oh, Inuyasha is also a really great one. Definitely classic. Magi. I love Magi. I have not tried The Devil's a Part-Timer, although my best friend, who is like my source on anime, has hammered it into my skull. I need to watch that, but I have a huge list. Like I still need to watch Mushi, Attack on Titan, Psychopaths, Death Note, Hellsing. No, Hellsing Ultimate. Bakano. I have like a huge anime list I still need to get through. I haven't even started Death Note. I'm aware about a lot of it. I've never watched it. Have you seen Howl's? Yes, I've seen Howl's Moving Castle. Hayao Miyazaki is that's something else. I've seen everything he's done. I've seen Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke. That's like childhood stuff right there. Yeah, I actually spent the day with a Nano member watching Howl's Moving Castle. Believe it or not. Um, yeah, she visited here in December, and we were just hanging out watching Howl's Moving Castle. Oh yeah, I am probably missing a lot of great animes, and I'm gonna do my best to watch them. Yeah, I tried manga when I was a kid. I could never figure out how to read it properly, and because of that, it dissuaded from me from ever getting back into it. I don't read manga. Nothing against it. Um, I just have so many novels to read, so I'd rather read novels and then watch anime. Um, Brandon Varnell is definitely your source for anime, though, and manga. Would you direct your own TV series adaptations? I'd like to be brought in like George R. R. Martin and consult. Oh wow, the arrogance in even assuming that that might happen. All right, that's what I would be able to demand or ask. But I would like that. I would like to consult. I do not want to direct. I would like to have a professional director who knows what they're doing and actually cares about the property, has read it, and is invested in it. Game of Thrones is a perfect example of that working very well. Have you ever played tabletop RPGs? Not really. I have. Um, it's unfortunate, but again, I don't have enough friends here in real life, so I can't get to play them. The only places I get to play them are like at Awesome Con, and I've only played Dungeons and Dragons twice there with like a pickup party, and I absolutely loved it. But I don't have a long running character. I've never been able to get into it for years and have a storyline go. I would absolutely love that more than anything. It's why I wish I had money and I lived closer to friends and nanos and stuff, and I could do this. But it's one of those. It is what it is. Favorite classic board game? If chess counts, chess, unless you mean something like Monopoly or Uno or Sorry, in which case it'd be Sorry. See, I wouldn't know how that works online, but I'd love to join that. I guess I might join that. I'd have to brush up on all the rules, but where is this sorcery? Um, Broken collarbone for the badass injury. Oh, I think my mic might have cut out, so if that one didn't get answered, I'll type it. Yeah, I've never had anyone to play with, which sucks. I wish I lived closer to a lot of the nanos. There are like campaigns that people have hosted. I don't know. People want to like drag me out to the state of Washington because a lot of nanos live there, apparently, or a lot at least from my Facebook friends list. So my mic's acting weird. Okay, I don't know if I. Okay, no, I'm okay. That's where I'm coming across. Okay, it was being weird. Um, Nashville's not bad as proximity. I don't know how Nashville, Tennessee. Yeah, I think so. I don't know how I'd fit in Tennessee if that's the Nashville you're talking about, unless there's a Nashville, Washington. I mean, there's like a 50 different Springfields and stuff like that in, America, so it wouldn't surprise me. Okay, I was just worried because after the first time it screwed up, earlier today when I started, I have my recording software open and it stopped registering my mic. Yeah, I don't know if I would fit in. Um, and I don't know how friendly it is to artists, which to be fair, where I live isn't either. This is definitely have a college degree in the technology field, science, computer science, or law and politics or military area. 10 minutes from DC, be a businessman, a diplomat, politics, law, marketing major, IT field, PC, cybersecurity, computers, all that kind of stuff. In terms of the arts, it's very conservative. DC appreciates the arts and museums and stuff. Um, as far as art crowds go, I don't know. Um, I know the West Coast traditionally has a larger, artist vibe. Is very more tolerant towards artists. Um, and the only reason I bring that up is that might be why um people want me to go out there. I've never been to Boulder, Colorado. I have been to Colorado Springs. I don't know how great it is for artists. But the writing seminars I did go to are there. I just never got to experience the community because that was a closed event at a hotel, so I didn't really leave the hotel much. I know Denver's supposed to be really great for artists though. Portland, Oregon, I've heard that. Seattle, Washington. I know Seattle's supposed to be really big because also voice actors and video gamers. Oh, I definitely believe that Canada uh, is also a great place and very friendly to artists. Um, I'm very unexperienced in a lot of these places, though, so I can only go by reputation. Um, if people want, I can also move this over to the slumber party. Um, I know it's getting later for some people, and I can just open up and ask me anything thread on the computer, and I can also be more open to it, because that way I don't have to worry about like laughing really loud if it gets rated R or something, and then waking up people who are sleeping here. Yeah, I might make that thread right now, and then I guess get off in a few minutes. This one's run longer, and I don't want to keep people up past midnight just for the sake of watching me. I think that'd be really rude and like arrogant of me at that point. Because I mean, everyone else has their commitments and stuff too. Yeah. But I can answer a few more. Maybe I'll go for like another 6 minutes to the 40 mark, or if people want, I can just do that right now. Yeah. Okay, and I can even talk about writing things. So I guess I'll open a thread there, and I'll stop this now. So I'll say bye-bye, and for anyone who wants to watch this or share it later, this will be archived like within 30 minutes to YouTube. It needs time to compile and compress for the HD, but it'll be easier for anyone who wants to watch it. I read most of the questions aloud. I don't know who really... I'm surprised even you guys did this. Like, I feel bad. A part of me wonders if you do it because you feel sorry for me or something, but you are no way obligated to do these. Yes, I'll answer that one. I'll answer all of those. So, bye-bye.